All right, we are live. I'm Maad Hotep, producer, songwriter. I'm here with Brad Chapman and singer-songwriter Steve Solomon. Brad Chapman is we call him vocal pre-producer, which I'll ask him, some of you have heard him explain it before, but I'll ask him to explain it again. And what he's gonna do is work with Steve as he does in the studio. And if you notice, Steve has headphones on, and he's next to a mic, and when they talk, Steve actually has the headphones on the whole time while they work. And this helps because singers, like if a singer comes in to work with me and they haven't used headphones, it can throw them off. And if you get in there and do like what Brad is doing, you get used to it. It helps you get acclimated. You get used to using the headphones, how you sound in them, and then it'll help you when it's time to give that emotional performance. That stuff is not throwing you off. Brad, real quick, would you explain what a vocal pre-producer is, please?
Yeah, I will, and this is really good timing because I just happened to notice a voice teacher saying that she gives voice lessons before, during pre-production. Well, that's not what I do. I don't give voice lessons during pre-production. It's not all about technique. There was a time I would have made that mistake, but I've evolved because I've worked with so many great producers and they've taught me, and I help them because they don't want to do it on their own, how to get the emotion out of the artist. That's what they want. And that's what the audience wants. And what's really important here is that a really great producer such as, you want me to call you Mayotte or Mott? Come on, give me a clue here.
Both are appropriate, Mayotte or Maat.
Okay, well I got used to Mayotte in my head, so you're stuck.
Do it, bruh, help yourself. That'll actually educate people. When you say that, you'll educate people. And they may even say, huh, what? But yes.
Okay, so this is Mayotte Hotep. You can see him on the screen there. Anyway, he's a very good producer as well, and he knows that what's most important for his singer or instrumentalist or whoever, whatever the song, the writing, whatever, the most important thing is the emotional content, the experience that the audience gets. And vocal technique does not give an experience. Quick little story, I was in my doctor's office. He says, oh, well, what do you do for a living? I said, oh, I'm a vocal pre-producer. And he's kind of, well, everybody always goes, huh? What's that? And I said, well, I really help people get the emotion out. And if they're flat, that's okay as long as there's enough emotion there. And, his eyes kind of crossed and he was like, huh? Because everybody thinks that the great artists always sing on key because they don't have the ear that a trained ear has, right? And that's okay. I mean, every genre has its own pitch. Some genres are flatter, some genres are closer. Very few genres are right on. As far as I know, no genres are sharp. And so I just talked to him about it a little bit more. But what he said was really interesting, and I've been using it ever since. He said, oh, I've got this friend. He says, I get it. I've got this friend that when he sings, sounds like he's practicing his vocal technique when he's singing his songs. I said, yeah, that's what we don't want to do. Audiences don't, he said, yeah, I get it. I never felt anything from his singing. So the biggest key about a vocal pre-producer versus a person a voice teacher or a technical person getting your voice ready for the studio is quite entirely different. Now, do I use vocal technique? Yes. I use it for warm-up because warm-up is critical in making the artist comfortable so that when they're singing, they're not distracted by the voice. As Mayotte was saying, we get distracted by headphones, we get distracted by the fact we're in the studio, we get distracted by fear, we get, all these little things are going on in our head. So how can we express emotion? So the key is the pre-production. Now, some producers work at a level of artists that they already have feel. It is possible for an artist to develop feel without any help. I mean, it goes on all the time. Where I'm coming in is where they either want more feel out of that artist or vocal technique is getting in their way. In other words, they're too strict or they have bad habits that are making it hard for them to communicate. That's another possibility. And so I use it, but it's not the goal. vocal technique is not the goal. It's just a little toolbox that helps us sing with more passion and more emotion. And that's the major difference between a vocal pre-producer and a voice coach or a voice teacher who's getting this, using vocal technique to get a client ready for the studio. Everybody wants to be in the studio because it makes them feel big, you know, and I understand that. You know, I've been in the studio since I was like 20 years old. And it is just like, hey, look at me, I'm in the studio, yeah. You know, so I understand their drive. Unfortunately, I made the same mistake they are making right now many years ago when I went in with one of my artists who hired me. And the producer just kept saying, no, I want feel, and the artist is looking at me going, oh, well, how can I get this note better, Brad, or how can I change, can I make this word stronger, or, you know, how can I do this? And I was caught up in technique at the time, and so I would try to help them, and then I could see the producer getting really angry. It's like, okay, I don't think he likes what's going on here. And one of them was particularly vocal about it. He said, when I signed you guys, I signed you from a demo you guys did in your front room. He says, now you're trying to change everything on me. He says, I just want to record what I heard in your front room. So again, he's saying all he cares about is the raw talent, the raw feel, what he heard, you know, that he experienced them. And now he can't experience them because they've gotten off onto technique, and unfortunately I was a part of that. So I don't do that ever anymore. If somebody asks me to do vocal production, I don't want to get in the way of the producers, but if they don't have one, I can come in. But I never talk about vocal technique in the studio. That's like an absolute no-no.
You spoke about, you had said fear, you used the word fear somewhere in there, Brad, and every time, everywhere I research, when I talk to industry cats, one of the biggest things that they'll say when it comes to say a singer, a person performing, is that they need to be fearless.
Yes.
And like, if it's time to create melodies, we're going in there to create melodies. You have to be fearless about it. When you're singing, everything is fearless because fear holds you back, and that was something that has been key that I noticed that people ping on. And like that, hitting that note, I was with a musician just this past weekend. He's an awesome musician, and he had said, "Did you hear that diminished seventh?" And I started laughing because what ran through my mind was if you're gonna go and do a diminished seventh, what's the reason you're doing it for? If it's because of you were trying to create this emotion and it happened to be a diminished seventh that you used to create that emotion, awesome. But the diminished seventh and any extended chord or what, those are actually tools that should come from what you're actually trying to achieve. And so when I talk to musicians, that's always or singers, that's always, which I consider singers and musicians, that's always an interesting conversation when a singer is like, yeah, I hit this note right here, and I'm like, bruh, yeah, that's cool, but everybody's still eating when you're singing. Nobody cares, you know. And we're at this Starving Artist Bistro is where I went to check out a bunch of artists, and there were a couple of artists that made people stop eating. Just flat out made people stop eating, and it wasn't because they sang like Whitney Houston. That wasn't it. They actually connected with people, made people feel something. One kid sang "Happy Birthday" to his father, and it was some emotional stuff, and the whole place just, you know, like whoa, and you know, really felt it. But that's what it's about. Okay, I'm gonna introduce some of these people that just came in, and talk about one or two quick things, and then we'll take it wherever you want to go, Brad.
Okay.
So we have Ebony Rose, who's a singer. It looks like she's walking around like a Spike Lee joint. Joint meaning movie in our language. Hey, Ebony. Okay, she's waving. Then we have Keenan, who's driving. Don't admit yourself, bro.
Yeah,
you're driving. Oh, yep, we hear you, Keenan, because if you crash that vehicle, bro, I feel way too bad. We have Monet.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Monet and Ebony Rose are singers, songwriters. I'm not sure if Keenan sings. I don't remember. I'm getting old, bad memory. All right. Let's see. What do I have? Okay. Singers, songwriters, producers. You guys should Google Prince Charles Alexander and Isotope, Izotope, or Visualizing the Vocal Mix. Either one of those, if you Google either one of those, you should come up with something with Prince Charles Alexander talking to Isotope. He's talking about vocal production. He was with all that stuff Puff Daddy did, Mace, Biggie, Faith Evans, all of that stuff. He was there. His vocals are on some of that stuff. He is an accomplished musician, and Puffy's camp ended up being, it wasn't just homies in the hood. There were accomplished musicians who helped, and songwriters who helped create that stuff. Don't kid yourself and think it's just homies in the hood doing stuff. Same with Dr. Dre. Accomplished musicians come in to blend whatever we're doing and take it to another level. So Google that, check that out, and also Google Iva Davies, Ivadavies. There's a long, like an hour and a half or so video on YouTube. It's called APRA Songwriters Workshop, and it's Iva Davies. He's with Southern Cross University. He's explaining a lot of good stuff. It might start off slow, but that is worth your watch, both of those, if you want to learn and grow. The Pensado Awards are coming up August 20th at the Sony, I believe it's the Sony, one of the Sony lots. I will be there. Y'all come out, have some fun. Tickets are $50 a piece. And
I'll
then
be
after
there
that, coming? Oh,
I already
right,
bought
good.
my tickets. Yep, Sandra and I have our tickets. Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. Awesome. See?
You are my
we
people,
actually,
man.
a bunch of us should actually go out to lunch or something before. You know, there's a bunch of people, like you've talked to some of them, and just could have lunch or something. We did that last year with Ronan Chris Murphy. So there's the Gear Expo. It's coming up in, I think, October. And so we'll be giving you guys notices on that. And now, this week, Wednesday through Saturday, August 10th through 13th, 2016, the Indie Entertainment Summit will be going on. So I'll be busy with that in LA and Northern Hollywood for 4 days. It's on Lankershim, Hollywood, in North Hollywood. It's called the Federal and Amp. I have no idea what that, like, Federal and Amp building. I'll have to go. I'll find out. But that's going on this week. If you're on Facebook, just look up JAY space WARSINSKI. Come out. I'll be there. Kick it with us. It's all about independent artists. Speaking of which, Brad, you and I, sooner or later, we need to do an event where it's you and I. We go in, we bring singers in, and we do this type of thing where, we had talked about the singer sings and the producer's the audience. Then we switch it. The producer does some vocal stuff, and the singer is the audience, and so that we get people understanding that, and they go through what you're doing with Steve right there. But a whole thing based on this stuff right here. Okay, and it's Stillman Studios might be a good place to do that out in Van Nuys, California.
Can we get enough people in there?
Huh?
Can we get enough? Can we get enough people in there?
It depends on what all we're going to do.
Okay.
I like the studio, so it depends on how. If 500 people sign up, no. But it depends on how intimate the audience is, intimate what we're going to do. If not, we'll bigger venue.
Okay.
All right. So, producers, songwriters, I'm telling you, this book by Michael Beinhorn, I'm not sure how you say it. He was one of Dave Pensado's guests or whatever. But this book, Unlocking Creativity, $25. Get it. I've read it 2 times. Every singer that comes in working with me and producer, they have to read this. It's unlocking your creativity. One of the things he speaks about, one, is when you are in there working, fostering an environment of creativity, an environment where people can actually be creative, fostering that. And it's huge. And it helps. One of the things that helps is there's a dialogue thing that goes on where you're reading and you're seeing how he works with the artist to get what he wants through the dialogue. And it's a pretty powerful book, very useful. So, Brad, would you tell us, or you or Steve, tell us a little bit about Steve? And I know he plays keyboard. I know he's a pianist. So tell us a little bit about him, and let's get the show on the road.
Okay, well, before we do that, just your mention about fear. This is another interesting thing that goes away when you sing from your soul and your heart and your emotions. The fear goes away. It doesn't have any space in your mind to be there. You're so focused on telling your story, especially, I really like working with songwriters because, they're so connected to their music. People who are doing covers and stuff, it's a little bit more difficult to really get an original sound. But with songwriters, it's much easier. And so when we do pre-production, that's something we're doing all the time. We're building the skill of staying in the moment, staying in the lyrics, staying in the story, staying with the music. The music's like the wings beneath you, and you have a little more freedom as an artist. Well, you actually have a lot more freedom as an artist to be a little bit offbeat, be a little bit off pitch, and things like that to feel your emotions. You don't worry about it. And one of the things I tell my clients, I don't think we've ever talked about this, Matt, but I don't recommend they ever come out in the studio and listen to their own voice. Because then, especially if they're hiring you, because then they're going to want to start tweaking stuff that shouldn't be tweaked. Now, maybe your book deals with that, but I've seen it. I've been a vocal producer, not a pre-producer, and I've run into that. They hired me, and then they come in, and the engineer's starting to mix, and they're going, well, what about, that's a little flat right there, and I think the rhythm was a little bit, ahead of the beat, and, in other words, they had all these images in their head from rehearsal of how they thought it was going to sound, and because they were singing with emotion, none of that stuff was happening, and then they're freaked out because their reference point is, oh my God, I don't sound like I thought I was going to sound. And then they want to start taking all the emotion out, by having Melodyne or Cubase has got some really incredible editing stuff now. I heard this guy move a woman's voice like up a third. I virtually couldn't tell that they had done that. I mean, if I had closed my eyes, I would just thought the woman actually did that. Now, she didn't have a style like Adele or anything. She was pretty strict on pitch, on rhythm. She was one of the kind of singers that you eat your sandwich. And so there is a solution to fear that's not, imagining that everybody else is in their underwear and all that stupid stuff. It's staying on the path. And the studio is no different than a live audience except for now Mayat or Rick or St. Hilaire or Khalif or whoever are the audience. And so I know you guys will keep them on task, and if I've already prepared them and they already know how to stay on task, then whatever fear they walk in with is kind of like what happens to most of us on stage, just kind of gone. It's like there should be some anticipation, or otherwise you probably don't care about the recording session. And that could be a problem too, But as soon as you get in the booth and everything is set up, then it's go. I've got this client that I'm going to vocal produce on Tuesday. Last time I was working vocal pre-production with her, she sang the song, and I noticed there was a couple of little problems, but I didn't say anything because I knew her. So I said, sing it again. And she sang it again. It was much better. I mean, like way better. And then I said, okay, one more time, sing it again. And then it was trackable. at that point. So one of the things that she's going to do before we get in the studio is actually practice the song. Duh. So that's going to work out really well. Anyway, Steve has been with me for a while, so you'll be seeing someone who's experienced at this, still changing. I've had clients for 10 years that are still changing, and it's not because they're stupid. It's just that there's so much to art that you just can't really stop. I mean, you can if you want. Sometimes I'm amazed at some of the recording artists. They never seem to sound any different from one record to the other. But I know there's also a reason for that, and it's called your brand, your trademark. And if you get too far off the path, then you'll lose your clientele. So Steve has a jazz background on piano, and he kind of went through the school mentality of, everything is like this and everything is cookie cutter and this is how you do this and this is how you do that. So he was actually on one of these hangouts and saw what I was doing and said, oh, I want to get in touch with this guy. This is different. This is not the way I grew up. And you were talking, about something about jazz. No, not jazz, but like a diminished seventh chord. It should have feel. And I'm going to let Steve talk about that for a minute because he's definitely been through that.
Sure.
And he's definitely figured out a better way to write songs now and a better way to arrange them, all because now he's thinking, what does it feel like? Like a good chef wondering what it tastes like. What does it feel like? Not, will my teacher be proud of me because I put in a flat 9 chord here. And for singers, that's a whole nother ball game too. And Steve and another client of mine, sometimes we run into this where they'll put in a really thick chord, meaning that there's a lot of suspension and tension in it, and then they've got to sing a note on top of that chord. And sometimes, even though they're very familiar with that chord and they wrote the melody, it'll still pull them either sharp or flat. And so they have to spend extra time when they have to sing across a chord that is pulling against them. It's a little bit like being a choir and having you're the tenor and the baritone's right next to you, and you're trying not to listen to the baritone because you end up, trying to sing his parts. And it's not quite that dramatic, but it still has that kind of effect. And so for all of you singers, if you're using a keyboardist that uses those kind of things, and you like it and you want it there, then be sure and give that extra, what I call wood shedding. Just go right to that thick chord and just sing that line over and over again and play it if you can. If you're a keyboardist or a guitar player, or I don't know, guess you could do it. You couldn't really do it with a wind instrument, but you play along with yourself and make sure that you, if that is, Steve, give me one of your challenges we worked on, one of those heavy chords with a note.
Well, there's one song. It's like, I saw Phil, I saw the winter rain. It's like some really crunchy, do 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 do.
Right. So when we first worked on it, he'd written it. He thought he heard it in his head, but it wasn't quite coming out the way he thought it did, and that's where another ear is so important. And so I said to him, well, just play the notes on the piano and match them up. And once the mind gets completely grooved into hearing that new sound, that tense chord with that vocal on it, and it's right on pitch, you really can't play much with feel here too much. I mean, you got to have feel, but you really got to be on pitch because people just twist their ear too hard, and then they'll lose the feel. So he's been doing that, and it's been working very well for him.
I would woodshed those notes, when I'm practicing, like over and over. But then when it came time to perform, I didn't think about that at all. I just thought about, the story. And because if you think about, is that note on pitch when you're performing, then you don't want to be doing that because that'll throw you, the singer, off when you're on stage. Oh yeah. I have to remember we're in a hangout, and this isn't just a vocal session. So I'll woodshed that when I'm at home. because you have to get the technique out of the way, so then you can just think about the emotion.
And something
Hey,
really.
Steve.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Maya.
I was about to ask Steve. Let's say when you're doing these chords, right,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're singing. Do you ever leave space for the vocal? Meaning, let's say that your chord has a C in it, a middle C in it, and your vocal is also singing middle C. Do you ever remove the middle C from the chord that you're playing so that your vocal is in that spot, or no?
You know, I will sometimes. Sometimes I won't. I mean, yeah. I mean, it totally. I mean, I hate to say it depends on the song, but it just depends on the song and if it feels right. But I won't even think about that. I won't even. I'm not even sure, to be honest. Like when I'm performing it, because I'm usually not thinking about that. But when I'm practicing, I'll sometimes think about what kind of what chords I'm doing and should I be playing the piano note, the same vocal note that I'm singing? Should I be playing that on the piano? So I'll think about that when I'm practicing.
I ask because when we're recording, when we're mixing, the composition it plays a big part in how well we can mix the song. And sometimes, like, if we are able to, we'll go in there. We'll be like, yeah, let me take this stuff out instead of EQing stuff out. We'll go in, like, I'll go in and remove stuff and hope that the person that I'm working with, which was my crew, would simply say, man, that just sounds better, because things conflict. And
Sure.
sometimes things going together, like your voice hitting a C note and the piano hitting a C note and the trumpet hitting a C note, middle C.
No, you're right.
That's a beautiful thing. But a lot of times, like, guys like me go in there and look to remove things out of the way, move things out of the way of the vocal. And some composers compose that way, where they simply move things out of the way of the vocal. And that's why I was asking if you actually just leave, like, space for the vocal and build everything around that, or make the vocal part of the piano chord, think of it like that. I was wondering if you thought like that or whatever. But
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, the vocals key is like the king, and so if I'm singing like a C and then there's like I'm playing a B on the piano, then that could crunch, like it's gonna sound like that, and that's kind of jazzy, but I think you're kind of talking about like the arrangement a little bit.
Right. Two notes doing the exact same thing. The keyboard doing the same note, exact same note as the vocal note.
Sure.
Is what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I'll go back, like I'll record something and I'll listen to it. And then if I hear something crunch, I mean, with my piano I usually do MIDI, so I have the capability to like add and leave notes out. So I take advantage of that. And yeah, if something's crunching, usually after I record it, I don't think about it when I'm recording, but after, yeah, I mean, I won't hesitate. I mean, whatever it takes to make it sound good.
Like
Brad
a
said
spoken artist.
What'd you say, Brad?
Is it like a well-spoken chef and artist?
Yeah, right.
What school did you go to?
Western Illinois.
So
Illinois.
you went to university.
Yeah, I paid my dues at the technique dues at Western. It was a good time, but yeah, I studied music there.
So have you and Brad battled yet on the piano?
Not yet, but I'm down.
Okay, Brad, what were you about to ask before I interrupted Brad?
I don't know, but you made me think of something you guys can look up that is interesting about what you just said. The recording of the Commodores doing 3 Times a Lady. The piano part plays the melody of the verse, but Lionel does not sing along with the piano. He's, again, pushing and pulling beats and singing a little flat here and a little bit off there. He's just singing with emotion, but the notes are being played there. So you'd almost think, well, why isn't he hitting the notes with the piano? But that's modern music. You don't do that in today's music. You don't match up with things. Even background vocals sometimes don't even have to match. It all depends on the feel that the artist and the producer are looking for. What are they trying to accomplish? But that's an interesting thing. You made me think of that. So, Steve, tell them a little bit about what what transition you've gone through from being very technical to kind of learning now that it's not the main goal in your life?
Yeah, I think just knowing what the audience is looking for. I mean, the audience. I mean, of course, you write songs because you love songwriting and you want to write, you want to tell a story and you have something to say. But you also have to, I think, you have to take into consideration what is the audience looking for, and the audience, they don't know about. First of all, they don't know about technique usually. They don't even care about technique. I mean, yeah, they'll hear someone like Whitney Houston hit some crazy notes and stuff, and but still they'll feel the emotion there, and then they'll think, oh man, she's like a great singer technically. But the audience to me is looking to connect with a story, and whatever words you use, like vibes, emotion, feel, they're looking for that. And to as a musician to try and be successful, try to do something big and great. I mean, that's how I want to connect. And I did, like I said, I went to school for 4 years, and it was great because I learned a bunch of technique and a little bit of emotion. But I almost, in a sense, I mean, I got a little, I would say I got a little burnt out from technique. Even before college, I got a little, tired of that. And I thought, well, what is the audience looking for? And I realized it's more of a feel, And when you go to a party or you go to a club, the club or whatever, I mean, they want to dance, they want to move, and that's another way to say they want to feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lifelong thing that I'm working on. I mean, to me, I'm always trying to improve that. And there are ways to do that with Brad. We'll work on all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, we're working on the story and the emotion. At the end of the day, so that's what I would say is what's the audience looking for? I mean, and how can you bridge the gap between what you're trying to say and what's the audience looking for? Like, how can you bridge those two things?
Yeah, as everybody says, how do you connect with them?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for a connection, and I've heard great artists, probably haven't had any training, literally say, I'm making a lot of money now, but I don't care about that. If I give a show and I don't feel like I've connected with the audience, I failed whether I got paid or not.
Yeah.
So it's something we hear a lot about. Unfortunately, the difficult part is how do you do it? On The Voice, the panel, which are all recording artists, get together with the contestants and coach them, and they'll bring in a special coach, and they'll say, this is what we need, and then they'll demonstrate, this is how I would do it. But what I've noticed is unless the artist can already do it, it doesn't get done. The coaches, and if you want to call them coaches or producers or whatever, if they know what they're looking for and they know what to ask for, but do they know how to actually make someone who doesn't have it have it? And that's the niche that I'm in now, is giving people what they don't have that everybody wants. And I used to think technique was that way, and I don't at all anymore. And my platinum records are for people who had feel, they connected with their audience, otherwise the records wouldn't have gone. Well, Whitesnake went 8 times platinum. That's not really very common, especially nowadays. I don't know if I'll ever get another one because they're almost saying that maybe no platinum records will ever be given again. They're talking about download certificates or some crazy thing. But we all want to feel like our work actually created something that is tangible, and we all want to feel like that if someone comes to me for anything, that they know that I succeeded with artists they admire, and that they're not going to be driven down the wrong path. Now, when you are looking for vocal technique, that's okay. That's not a bad thing. But if you like listening to artists on the radio and you like more of what we call the recording world artists, just remember that most of the time, if the coach or teacher you has is demonstrating in a perfect way, don't copy that. I just saw recently, and he put it out in the public. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a partner of mine many years ago, and he had Selena Gomez in the studio, and he didn't sing classically, but he sang this little phrase, and it was like, that's very dry, And then Selena sang it. She had all the wetness in the world. She sounded great, but he was like, sing this, hey baby, go away. So don't imitate that stuff. Keep your street feel. Keep your independence, your artistry about you, and then you can gain from those things. And that's why I think Selena is so entrenched in that she just automatically knew not to sound like the coach. Now, I actually tell my clients, don't sound like me. So we'll do that. Steve, go ahead and sing whatever you kind of thought you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, just stop me if you want to jump in.
Okay.
Oh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, spry as a fly, do not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
Okay, good. That's great, Steve. He's already got good feel to that. One of the ways I know that is not only am I feeling it, but if I put my intellectual brain in there, if I was to try to imitate Steve's singing, it would probably take me quite a while because every phrase is a little bit different.
Yeah, I'll never sing the same phrase twice if I'm really...
Yeah, because the emotion is changing as the song develops, as the story moves. So if he was having a problem, which he didn't really have, but if he did, if say he was singing "Strung Out in Love," I wouldn't sing that to him and expect him to change it. I would put my own emotion in it. I'm strung out in love, and then I would tell him right away, don't imitate me. That's not why I was doing that. I just want to give you an idea of how you can improve this piece. So a really great producer or a really great vocal producer is not an egomaniac telling you what to do, saying this is the way you have to do this and this is the way you have to do this and blah, 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 blah. It's someone who respects your individualism and your creativity and pulls more out. So when you're looking for a producer, if you find somebody that's dogmatic and says, one of my clients ran into this problem. She talked to a producer. He apparently had some credentials. She thought they got along very well. She talked all about the emotions, the storylines, everything, and he was, oh, yeah. Well, as soon as they got in the studio, he started trying to manipulate her. Just, no, you got to do it this way, you got to do that, you got to do that. Well, she was paying for it, so she said no more. She was intelligent enough to know that that was important to do, to say no more. So when you're always going to run into people who have an opinion that does not fit you, please, as artists, feel free to either ignore them or say no or whatever you feel is appropriate for the situation. I was just talking to one of my clients, that show keeps coming up 20 feet from stardom, and he understood immediately why the background singers weren't becoming celebrities, and that's because the background singers are paying different dues, and they're being paid for it. It's a job, and so they're very directed. Okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to do this. Well, an artist is making their own world. They're making everything up on their own, and they're not getting paid. So they are willing to not get paid, create a product, and then let somebody, they'll market it, or hopefully someone else will pick it up and market it. And they just don't want to be anybody's puppet. And that's why we respect them. That's why we like them, because they're nobody's puppet. So, okay, Steve, let's sing a little bit of that. You did really well, so this will be great to go a little bit deeper. So here's kind of the procedure that I use, and that is to ask him, generally, what is the song and the story about that you wrote?
Yeah, well, so this is, I mean, it's kind of about being in love. There's kind of a drug reference. I mean, I'm not one of those, but you know, I don't do any of that. But there's like, there's kind of, you're kind of feeling high and in love is the kind of feel. So I don't know. It's kind of like it's kind of a light, and I'm on a medicine ball right now, so you see me going up and down. But that is the kind of feel. It's kind of just light and loose and fun, I guess. And you know, it's kind of an upbeat and a little jazzy.
So what do you want to feel when you sing it, and how do you want your audience to connect to that?
Yeah, I just want to feel like a little lightness and bounciness, I guess, to it. I mean, like emotionally, like yeah, I don't know. I think I just want them to kind of groove and feel like there's this kind of rush or highness to it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like strung out in love, sweating and dripping are some of the words. So
can you feel that?
yeah, I mean, yeah, when I sing, I try to just picture something like, yeah.
Okay, you're doing, right? You're not trying.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I know
yeah,
in rehearsal we try.
Right. And I try not to. My problem is always overthinking things when I'm performing. So I really just shut my brain off sometimes with all that, and just kind of forget what I'm doing sometimes. Like not worry about any of the notes or anything, and just think about the story and stuff.
Yeah, the new term for that is right brain, left brain. So you leave your left brain behind. You leave that at rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And your subconscious is doing everything that you've trained it to do, and now your right brain is just taking over completely and just feeling what you're singing. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, just whatever it takes to just focus on the story and not think about anything else. However you define it, yeah.
And what kind of a challenge is that?
It's definitely a focus challenge because, you can't be thinking about what are you doing after this or what's happened in the past. And I think that's a lot of just doing it over and over again.
Yep.
It takes years. I mean, you see like young singers that are like 18 or something, and they're like amazing. But I think you'll find that a lot of them have been doing it since they were probably like 10, 11, or 12. They've been doing it for years.
Some even younger.
Yeah. So even they have, the repetition.
I have a new recording client in Switzerland that's going to be me doing pre-production next week, and she's 13. And according to the producer, she's already a phenomenal singer. She's won all of these accolades.
And I've been doing piano since forever, and so that's why I want to get more time in with the vocals, because I want to basically I want to feel how I feel comfortable on piano. I want to feel that way vocally all the time,
Yeah.
So that's kind of why.
And that's something else sometimes we do is we change the feel of the piano.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's matching the story.
Yeah.
And as producers, and this is one of the things that I know it's cost effective, but I still, coming from a world where art was more important than saving money, when a producer sends out stems and stuff and says, okay, guitar player, play this, and he does it in his own home studio, it's not impossible, but it's difficult to really get the best feel out of that person because he's not being coached while he's playing. And at Mayot's last mentor session, there was a studio session player there, and he says, yeah, I really miss being with other musicians when I'm recording or being in the booth with the producer. Because it's just like, okay, I'm listening to the rough vocal track, and sometimes the rough vocal tracks are not very emotional, And that's another thing that Steve has learned is to, if he's going to do a rough track, it should still be very emotional. So that any other person who's going to come in, whether it be his producer friend or any other musicians they're going to use, get the feel of what he's doing, even though it's not the final vocal track. And then they can play, if the musician is sensitive to the emotions and sensitive to the story, which of course means they're a great musician, then they'll have a better chance of doing it in their own home studio and coming up with something that fits and works.
Yeah, it's really tough for me to do a demo and press play and be the audio engineer and be the vocalist, because then I'm worried about, oh, am I recording? Am I clipping? Am I making sure I'm doing everything right as an audio engineer? And then I have to be the vocalist at the same time. So even doing a demo is really tough to be able. I mean, I lose the emotion sometimes when I do a demo, no doubt, because I'm worried about the recording side, the audio engineering side.
Well, as Matt said, it's all about having the great crew.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I'm not aware personally of any recording out there that's done really well that doesn't have other people on the project. You don't see Beyonce, I produced and wrote this, and no one was ever in the studio with me. It's not the way the real world works. And demos are very important because a demo could either get you money to promote your art, or it could be the last thing that they ever hear of you because they didn't like it and they don't want to ever hear it again. So a demo can be as important as a completed project, or maybe even more as far as the emotion goes. And I have heard producers say that they have taken on artists that all they heard was a acoustic guitar and a vocal and a very poor quality recording.
Yeah.
But as I've learned on these telephone video conferences, I can still hear feel if it's there. Even though this is not great high-end audio, if the feel's there, I can hear it. If the feel's gone, I can hear it. So it doesn't matter that we're on a lower quality. Now, if I was mixing something like Mayat does, I would never do that via Google because I'd be listening. Okay, how much treble do I want here? How much reverb? It would be all screwed up because there's not enough fidelity here. You were talking, Matt?
Yeah. Steve Cook Harrell. Okay. I'm for some reason there's a delay. Repeat. Echo. Okay. There's a fellow named Cook Harrell. I have a video of him putting in work with the vocalist. When we see each other, it's on my laptop. I can't show everybody like on the internet yet that I know of. I'll have to actually get permission. I need to ask him. Like I'm gonna have to ask about that. But he's working with an artist, and that demo. That demo is prime. Like he says it. The magic is in the demo. You can look up Pensado's Place, Cook Harrell, Kukharrell, and he talks about that. And there's others. It's like when you do that demo, every step that you go through, bro, you have to put everything into it, so that singer needs to know that right here you're upset when you're singing this moment, and like you communicate in that demo. Like it's a prime thing, and like he spent pretty good time explaining that, and then he showed us how he uses the demo to clue the singer in. And like if you're submitting something to a record label and they hear this demo, when you're done with the song, they don't want to hear something completely different. That magic was in that demo, and if it is going to be completely different, man, you better, if you take that chance, you better blow them away. And what else? There's a game, Hub Real, is it Brad Maddy? I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me, everybody. Okay, hopefully I muted myself in time. So there's this game that I played with Hub Real just this last week, where I said, okay, bro, I'm listening to the Temptations and Always and Forever, that song, which I'm drawing a blank right now, but I'm listening to that song, and when I just hum the melody of the vocal, I feel it. So I said, okay, Hub, we started playing a game, and the game was, like, if we do it right now, I would say, bruh, come up with some melodies, and then I got to try to figure out what the emotion of that is. And so we got into this thing of, like, if I was like, I don't care, they're like, I don't care, and stuff like that, and without saying I don't care, because it sounds like I don't care, but to where he would have to guess what I'm trying to put across. And that became an interesting game because what it got us to doing was communicating without words, so that our melody, so if you gave me a lyric and you told me what it was about, I should be able to create a melody that conveys that. And that right there, it became very interesting because now you have a layer of melody communicating what you want to say, like, hey, Mott, you're going bald-headed, ha ha ha. And then words are saying, hey, Mott, you're going bald-headed, and it all works together. But anyway, and the last thing I wanted to say based off of what you guys are saying, Steve, you were talking about focusing on everything. One of the most beautiful things about the team is if you have people that are good and you can trust them, and you trust them, like you play piano, if your job right now is to play the piano, you can do detailed focus, detailed work on that piano part while I'm focusing on something else. We split up the workload and do detailed work. So if we're working on a car, you take care of the tires, Brad shines the outside, and I go in and vacuum the insides, and Ebony Rose, you know what I mean? Like that detailed work that each one of us can do. We split up the load, and so that's where having a team comes in. So keep doing what you're doing by yourself. But then me, you, like we all have to get together and split up the workload.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to be the jack of all trades, because I mean I want to focus on one thing when I'm playing music, and I mean that's the story, and then leave it up to the audio engineers, to do their thing.
Here's one of the things that's powerful about what you're doing right now. When you said you earned your stripes or whatever, if you are working on mixing and you come in and I start BSing you.
Yeah, you're right.
You can stop me. It stops me from BSing you. I'll go in places all the time, and somebody will say, "Oh, we can't do this," and nah, bro, and I'll just do it. And they're like, "Oh," it's like, "Yeah, try that again." Like I don't even have to get attitude. I just do it. But I'm often brought in to keep people from BSing. And so what you're doing, you're gaining language, a whole repertoire of stuff to where people like me can't be. Musicians used to BS me. I went to a school. I said, okay, let me go see what's going on. I went there, and I went and took their exact instructor, his classes, and he was saying the same stuff that I was saying. So when I came back, everything changed, and I didn't even have to yell at him. So yes, do what you're doing for a while, gain that understanding, so that when you walk in, you're a well-rounded individual, but who just happens to slay on this piano, and who has these other abilities, and then that way you can make things just come out better, and there's a certain amount of respect that comes with or to you when I can't BS you.
Yeah, we're all lifetime learners, so we're always learning whatever we can.
Well, and he did find a producer, as I recommend, is that they've kind of become a team. So his, he can, you don't always have to think, I got to go pay the best producer in the country, thousands of dollars that I don't have. You can work with producers just like you would another songwriter or another musician, where you're both kind of at the same level and you're both working to get higher, better at what your craft is, and whether you split up later or whatever, that's who knows, or maybe that team will go all the way to major label. You never know, but that's one of the ways to get a producer. Somebody in your home studio actually helping you put things together. They're learning, you're learning, and in some cases, some of these producers will be learning from the singer because Steve may know more about something than that producer knows. Now that producer's a better person for vocal production. So it really works out well, and you don't have to always be thinking, well, I've just got to have the best producer in the world. If I don't have the best producer in the world, it's just going to be a waste of my time. That's kind of like the old thing. Well, it's not ready yet, and it's 5 years have gone by. It's not ready to record yet. Well, you have to come to a point, and one of the things I did with Steve earlier is I said, wow, that was really good. There's always a point where somebody should stop giving information or suggestions and just say, you nailed it, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, don't give information just for the sake of, just because you're a coach and you have to give something. Yeah, if it's ready, then it's ready, right?
Yeah, occasionally that happens. Somebody brings me a demo or whatever, and I say, that's great, man. I wouldn't touch it. I said, the only thing I might say is if
Okay, I think Brad froze, or is it me that froze? Ebony, did I freeze?
You guys there?
Brad?
No, you're on there, Mott. So.
Brad froze?
I think Brad froze.
Yeah, Brad froze.
Okay, he'll be back in a second. We'll let him know. All right, you guys. Ebony, tell me how you doing.
I'm doing good.
What's going on with you?
I've been performing out. Ooh.
Yes, I've been seeing.
Yes, I've been performing out. I've actually got every single place that I performed out at has told me to come back. So
he's back.
Oh, well, here's Brad. Welcome back, fellas.
Here's me on.
I thought I was having issues. I thought it was me, and so I said, Ebony, am I bogged down? What's going on? And then they let me know it wasn't me. I thought I was screwing up over here. So your computer, is it your computer messing up your Wi-Fi? Do you know? Well,
froze again.
Yeah, go again. So Ebony, hold on, Ebony. Here we go.
It's on you.
No, I see him.
Cool.
All right, Brad, you're back now. You're going in and out, Brad.
Oh, bummer.
There you go.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. I can lower the bandwidth if you want.
Lower it one tick and just lower it one tick and see.
Because I have 300 IPS, MB.
Oh, Brad, you should be good.
Yeah.
Okay, now what were you saying, Brad?
Okay, so let's actually demo what I just said. So first of all, let's open this up for a couple of comments from the crowd and say, how did you feel when Steve sang? Anybody?
All right, you guys.
Chirping?
So you guys are going to. I'm going to sit back. You guys have to be the audience for Brad, Monet, Keenan, Ebony, and I'm going to sit back and let's. Brad's going to take it. You got it, Brad.
Okay. Hey, Keenan, what did you think, buddy?
I wasn't there for the singing. Hold on, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in a park. It's really annoying.
I think I'm on my park phone.
Oh, well, he can do it again then.
Yep, he's got to do it again.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Let me get down to the studio. Give me 1 second.
Okay, go ahead and do it again. Keenan will have to unmute when he's ready.
All right, you want me to do it? Okay. Strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, spry as a fly, I do not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, popping that beaches, I'm strung out in love.
Okay. So that's how much you did last time. Did you get to hear that, Keenan?
I think you're muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
I just walked into the room. I did not hear any of it. I seen him play, but
Okay, one more time. Encore,
All right,
encore, encore.
You get to know my song then.
Go.
All right. Oh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, as bright as a fly, I do not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
He's a pianist, he has to end everything.
Yeah, right. Always have that last note.
Oh, you got applause. All right.
Got some feedback.
So the question is, Keenan, and parent. Oh, we lost you. All right. So for now, Ebony or Moya, what did you feel? Oh, Keenan, you're back. Can you tell us what you felt before the applause?
Monet, you go ahead. Keenan will be on in a second. He's having issues.
Okay. What I liked and loved about the song, even though the lyrical content takes you one way, the emotion that you're portraying brings me back. So what I was taking from it was like a trip down an avenue. You know, like this emotion, like you're kind of going back down a memory lane, but you're not so much focusing on the past, but you're in the presence of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're kind of like reliving it, maybe?
Yeah, reliving it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the emotion I got from it.
And how did you feel hearing that emotion?
Hearing the emotion, I kind of felt like, it's kind of weird, but I kind of felt like it was a happy tune to me.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Happy.
Cool. Do you think you could feel any more from him, or do you think it would be too much more?
Be honest.
Be honest, I could feel a little bit more from him.
Okay, so that's kind of what we'll do next. But Keenan, go ahead.
I listened to it as well. Certain parts of it I feel it could bring more emotion, but other than that, as far as the feeling itself, I think it's right there where it needs to be. Maybe some parts of it should have a little bit more feeling, but after that, I think everything else is good.
Okay, Ebony?
I think that in the parts where he says love, I think that they could have a little bit more of a little bit more of a kick, because at the moment he said he's strung out in love, but it's like he's not connecting with that particular word, and so I feel like it's kind of a little bit left in limbo, like he's singing the words, but he's not properly joining them to the actual connection of that word he's saying. So the rest of it's like going really quite well with the music that he's playing, but then just that part on the ends, I feel like he's not connecting with it as much, but that's just my opinion on it.
Thank you.
All right, so all three of you. Okay, now let me give mine now. Okay, so Steve, I'm always ready when a singer sings. I'm always ready for the singer's vocal to need work, like, oh man, this vocal is horrible. Why is this person singing? That's not the feeling that I got from you. I didn't have an issue with your actual singing ability, your vocal like that. When you started playing the piano, it felt like, okay, this is going to be a happy thing. So that automatically gave me a happy feeling. When you started singing Strung Out in Love, as I listened to you, the feeling that I'm supposed to get is this, that I'm feeling that I'm supposed to get is this carefree, I'm really strung out in love feel. And if you were singing like you're not strung out in love, you're like, when you're actually strung out in love, like when I was in love like that, like in love, like there's this feeling, and you couldn't tell me nothing. I was so into that. I don't get that feeling when you're singing it. I hear a performer performing, and it's something that I know you can do. You have the voice for it. Like, your voice was not an issue for me. I felt it a little bit of the happiness, but I just did not feel like you were actually strung out in love. And that's what I'm wanting to feel, is you actually being strung out in love. So somehow you're going to have to go there and actually be strung out in love and sing it and let that come out. Like, whether you hold shorten notes, lengthen your notes, that feeling, and that's all. Like, I actually think you have a cool, jazzy, cool type voice. Now I just want to hear you actually, like what's the cartoons when they would have the birds or the love things going over somebody's head back in the day, like that type of thing. That's all.
Now I'm gonna think about that, and you're gonna make me laugh. Which, you know,
am I making sense to you?
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Okay, Steve. So the producers have spoken.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do now to give them what they want?
This doesn't sound strange, but I have to. I just have to not think about everything you guys said. I mean, I have to think about it now.
Yeah.
And internalize it. But when I do it, I have to not think about all that, and that's hard. I mean.
Well, what do we have to do to get you to be strung out in love while you're singing it?
I think I'm just gonna think about something personal to me, like a.
Oh, now, okay.
Yay!
You know, now, yeah. See if I can do that.
See, I'm showing you his training. I'm not training him. I'm showing the training he already has.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, when you sing that, you have to actually be strung out in love. We'll get it because you're really strung out in love.
Right.
Like,
so,
girlfriend?
Yeah, so what are you gonna have to do to what are you gonna do to get strung out in love right now? Like this, and this is one of the things about singers, like, you have to really expose yourself. Like Brad used to talk about this. Like, you have to actually be vulnerable and expose yourself. And that is a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, it's the fearless thing. If vocalists that do that,
they're fearless.
Yeah, and it's something I'm working on all the time.
Have you ever been that strung out in love?
I mean, chemically, no, but you know, if you know what I mean.
Great answer.
But yeah, you know, I felt the rush and the, you know, that like euphoric feeling at times.
Do you want to feel that right now?
I mean, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I'm really trying to picture you skipping down the road, you know, being in love. Hey, Brad, what's the singer's name who he's classical, he's a classic guy, there's a pole that he swung around, it's a musical, way back in the day?
I don't know, that's pretty vague.
Remember, like, it's I'm Singing in the Rain, that type of... who sang that?
Oh, that actor,
Like
Gene Kelly.
Yeah, Gene Kelly.
Okay.
That's he danced while he was singing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song gives me that type of vibe. Like, I'm wanting to picture him, I'm wanting to picture Steve actually skipping down the sidewalk, being in love. Like, man, to hell with the world, I'm loving this, I'm in love. And, you know, anyway, so that's why I was asking, like, Steve, were you ever in love like that, where you were just strung out in love? You know, but if you weren't, you know, Brad will have to figure out a way to, I don't know.
Well, no.
Well, we'll do that if it doesn't happen, but right now I'm just going to let Steve use what he knows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So part of the question was, and you all answered it very well, was could he go deeper? You know, it was a good performance, but could he go deeper? And that's a decision sometimes I have to make, and producers have to make. Because, okay, if I go one more step with this guy, is it going to get worse or is it going to get better?
Right.
And Steve has got enough education in this area that he can respond to you without you having to know how to get it out of him. So that's kind of one of the things that's different today about having somebody on the Hangout that actually has a lot of experience working in this area. And those production comments were excellent. Thank you all. All right, go ahead, Steve.
All right.
Now, if you want to take a minute and think.
Oh, I think I've thought too much.
Okay, well, no. Feel, excuse me.
Yeah.
You want to take a minute and feel?
Yeah. And that intro helps me get into the feel.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about any really great intro is it should be getting you into the field. Yep.
All right. Oh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, spry as a fly, I did not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, I'm popping that peaches, I'm strung out in love.
Okay, so I felt that was a little better.
I don't know.
But I don't think he's quite where you want him to be. So let's do this.
Hello?
I think Ebony said the issue was strung out in love was the most poignant, and it is the most poignant part. So Steve, where was your mind when you were singing the chorus?
It was mostly in the story, but once in a while I was like, oh. I opened my eyes and I saw like some people moving around. And I was like, oh, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah.
Well, I was like, oh,
you have to be old. You have to be older than 18.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, wait, no, don't think about that. Just keep singing. So, again, it's the focus thing, and that's yeah, I just gotta focus on the story. So I was a little bit, you know.
Now, does the verse help you get into the chorus, or should we just focus in on the chorus for a moment?
Yeah, I think we should do the chorus too, because we just been doing the verse.
All right. So as Mayat said, I want to be there. I want to be strung out in love too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Keenan, I think you're the only one here that's new, you and your crew back there. So I will ask him, what does strung out in love feel like to you?
You talking to me or Keenan?
Yeah, Steve.
Oh. Like you're floating, you know? I mean, that's the best way I could put it in words.
And do you enjoy floating?
Yeah.
Is it some place you really want to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's light. It's like feeling light and like nothing else matters, and you're floating on a cloud, I guess. Cliche, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Whatever imagery, you know, it's been said by other people, and I've used it occasionally myself. Is see yourself in a video.
Yeah.
This case is a little bit different because you're actually you could see yourself in a movie. You could see yourself skipping down the road like Mayat said, or you could see whatever cloud.
Yeah. Well,
You could visualize that cloud.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just go right to the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a little easier to stay focused because it'll be just a kind of a short
You want me to go
period, and the chorus is the most important part of the song, and that's mostly what everybody wants to hear better.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second, Brad. Ely, I need you to mute your microphone until it's time to speak.
I'm trying. Oh, can you guys hear me? Because I have a question regardless of that.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so question. As far as the performance, it's you all. Well, for me, it's I always have an artist or whatever the case may be. Now,
Speak a little louder.
I have an artist, or just any artist. When you're hearing them raw, when you're hearing them out and about, or when we're just having a good time, it sounds wonderful. The feeling, the emotion, and all that stuff is there, right? But when they actually get into the performance mode of the or behind the microphone itself, it's not the same, or they're not as comfortable.
Now that's exactly the niche I'm trying to fill.
Okay.
I am filling.
Okay, Brad, can we hold off on that because you guys are in the middle of doing something, and I want to make sure you guys get through that, and then we come back to Ely's question.
Sure.
Okay, Ely, mute up real quick, and then we're going to come to you when he's done. All right?
Maybe.
Okay, go ahead, Brad.
Could do the verse and then into the chorus.
Whatever you feel. See, this is a big part of my methodology. Is What does Steve want?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much what I want.
$1 million.
Yeah, okay, well, that's out of the question. And when I work with a producer, like if Steve had a producer on this one, I would ask the producer, let's say Mayotte was the producer, I would say to Mayotte, you've got the big picture here. Tell me the things that you want, and I will make them happen. So I'm more of a facilitator than a what do you call it, an authoritarian. I'm just a really weird kind of, if you want to call me a teacher, I'm a really weird teacher because I really don't say, okay, 2 + 2 is 4 and you got to learn that. It's really up to him how he is going to feel the course the best way. And so that's why I asked the question rather than say, hey, okay, it's the chorus. That's all I care about. Do the chorus.
Yeah.
That's not good for producers to do, and it's not good for voice teachers to do. It just does not work with artists. It works with background singers. It works with top 40 singers. It works with Broadway. It works with opera. It works with actors. But we're in a whole different world here. So go ahead, Steve.
All right. Oh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, spry as a fly, I do not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, a pop in their peaches, I'm strung out in love. Ah, something inside that I'm dying to hide for so many years. Oh, something inside that I'm dying to hide for so many years. It goes back to the verse after that.
Okay.
It's a short chorus for that first time.
Yeah, I felt some changes.
Can I
everybody
suggest
chime in now. Go ahead, Evan.
Can you not play the piano and sing it without playing the piano, and then kind of connect with your lyric more, and then bring the piano back in later? If you get what I mean, just like just sing it without the piano, because I feel like you're concentrating on your piano and making sure that you're connecting it with the lyric properly, in opposed to just singing the lyric itself and getting to know your voice with the lyric, and and trying to connect with the lyric more, because I think that you're more connected with the emotion of how the piano makes you feel, in opposed to connecting with the lyric and how the lyric would make you feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but he's good a cappella. Let's do it, Steve.
All right.
So what you can do is if the introduction helps you can play up to that point, and then.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll play just so I got a little. Oh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love, as spry as a fly, I do not know why, some kind of afternoon, good day to die, strung out in love, I'm popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
Okay, do it one more time because I interfered with you.
Yeah, there's some moving around. Ooh, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love. I'm spry as a fly, I do not know why. Some kind of afternoon, good day to die. Strung out in love, I'm strung out in love. I'm popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
I have a question for you. How old were you when you were first actually strung out in love?
I don't know. Pretty recently.
Pretty recently?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do that how were you acting? What were you doing that let you know that you were strung out in love? What type of stuff were you doing when you were strung out in love?
You like staying up late, getting up late, having wine, partying. But
Partying with that person?
what's that?
You're saying you were staying out late partying with that person?
Yeah, actually feeling like tired, but in a good way. Like you're tired, but you're happy. Because you were doing all this stuff and you weren't sleeping, but you felt good. If that makes sense.
And can you picture some of that stuff that you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I play piano, I actually feel, because I've always been playing piano and voice, so I actually, even though maybe it didn't sound like I was jiving when I was playing piano, when I do both, I feel more comfortable as opposed to, because I never just capella. But yeah,
But okay, like what type of stuff were you doing? Were you out partying or what? Like at clubs or?
yeah, just like hanging out, going to friends' places, going bars, whatever 20-somethings do, things like that.
Okay, well, tell me something she was wearing one night. Like picture one of your best nights when you guys were together, and tell me what she was actually wearing.
She was wearing what are those things that girls wear, like the leggings, like the, what do you call those? The tight jeans or whatever.
Okay.
I'm not a fashion person, but I remember that.
And what happened that night that made you smile?
Well, I can't say that on camera.
Okay. Okay. Let me hear this sing Strung Out in Love again without playing, just sing it, playing piano or not, just sing it and picture that night.
Okay.
Picture that night as you're doing it.
Okay.
Be there.
Oh, strung out in love, strung out in love. I'm sweating and dripping, strung out in love. I'm spry as a fly, I do not know why. Some kind of afternoon, good day to die. I'm strung out in love, I'm strung out in love. I'm popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
What did you feel?
Well, I started to smile, I think, so I was starting to think about all that stuff that I can't say on camera. Wink, wink.
Popping them peaches, huh?
Yeah, I got a peach tree outside. Wink, wink.
That was better.
Dripping with sweat, huh?
What's
That
that?
song took on a whole different meaning.
That was much, much better when you did that. I think you should do it again, but you should dive deeper into that stuff that you're not allowed to say.
Well,
that
it's interesting because Ebony, well, I haven't had this issue with you, but every once in a while I work with a female artist who's trying to be very sexual.
Yeah.
Very sexual lyrics, and I have to create a safe environment and talk to her as if this is what you have to be feeling if you're going to sing this lyric. So in effect, you have to be erotic in your body and mind. Otherwise, we're not going to buy it. It's not going to have any sexual appeal at all. And so Steve's kind of going a little bit through the same thing, not near as dramatic, but yeah, you have to feel safe to say anything you want. And I happen to be a big proponent of free speech, and so I don't care what singer it is I'm working with, or what they're saying, or how they're saying it. It's their business, it's their thing, and they have the freedom to do it, and I will help them. And so, Steve, if you want to feel more erotic when you do this, go for it.
Sure.
Well, is it supposed to be erotic and is it
really
supposed to be sprung out in love? Like you see what Brad's talking about, bro? Like you have to really go there, whatever it is. And he's right. Like we have to create an environment where you can actually get into whatever you're saying, like your whole body, your whole being actually feels that, so we can capture that moment. And guys used to talk about to me capturing the moment. I didn't get it. But this, that's it. Like you started smiling. I'm over here cracking up, hearing the lyric in a whole different way. I'm feeling certain things now. It's like, that's, Brad. That's what Brad's talking about, bruh. So
Yeah, it's
whatever
really
it was.
It's really interesting. I'm not looking at him right now, but it's really interesting to watch the when the emotion comes in, the facial expressions change, and if they're not playing the piano, their hand expressions change. They might move their body a little bit differently, and it all shows up in the sound.
Yeah. I think the best thing is when you sing something and you don't quite remember what you did because you were just thinking about the story and you didn't.
Yeah.
You kind of forgot there was an audience in front of you.
Yeah, in this case, you can be totally into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be communicating to anyone.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you will communicate.
Right, exactly.
That's something I found is a hard and fast, true rule. If the artist feels it, we'll feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you flat out, when I was listening this time, I've heard several steps as you've gotten better and better and better, like better meaning into it more. And like when you first started, bruh, there was a deep weight in your voice. And it got lighter and lighter and lighter. And this last time, like you said, you smiled. We can hear that. And, you just keep going further and further and further to where eventually there's just this moment. It's like, whoa, we did record that, right? Because if we didn't record that, engineer, we're finna fight. Because I done worked all the way to get this man to this point, But, yeah, bro, there's a progression with you as you're singing that. And it's not do, re, mi. It's you actually getting into it. Like when you started saying, well, I can't really talk about that, it's like, yeah, you're picturing stuff that we're not seeing. You're actually going there, and that was the whole point, was to get you to start thinking about that stuff with this lovely young lady that you feel this way, that you wouldn't dare say, well, I really felt more in love with somebody else back in the day, and I'm not going to really say that. Like, I understand those type of things go on when we get live and stuff. Not saying you, but like, that's just the reality of this stuff. But you have to go where you started to go and go deeper.
Oh yeah, well, and that's as a musician and performer, I think having you got to live life and have experiences, because this is I wrote this song from experience. And yeah, you can write songs and use your imagination and exaggerate, and there's definitely exaggeration when I write. But it's also real life things I'm drawing from. So I never.
You said you wrote this from experience. Well, tell us about the experience.
Well, I mean, yeah, I kind of did. I mean, like with the, staying up late and
getting a little drunk.
Yeah.
Getting a little naked.
Yeah, you stayed a little vague in it. No, I told you everything. No, you stayed a little vague. I understand.
You don't stop embarrassing the woman. What's wrong with you?
Don't let your mama watch this.
Yeah.
Feeling your lips.
I like to, be a little mysterious. Don't give everything away.
Okay, let's do this. Let's have him do it one more time, and then we'll open it up to questions.
And then let's not forget, Ely had a question too after we're done too. Go ahead, you guys.
Strung out in love, strung out in love, sweating and dripping and strung out in love. I'm spry as a fly, I do not know why. Some kind of afternoon, good day to die. I'm strung out in love, I'm strung out in love. I'm popping their peaches, I'm strung out in love.
Oh, that one the chorus.
You got to applaud.
You got to clap for me, bro.
Woo, 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 woo.
That is a drastic difference from when you started.
Difference. That was amazing.
And he sang sweating and dripping. That was like whoop whoop.
Yeah. One of the things I felt, I'm wondering if you guys felt, was a higher energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely higher energy.
It takes some energy,
Yeah. I mean, he was singing a little bit louder, but that's not the point. He wasn't singing louder because I told him to sing louder, or that Mayat told him to sing louder.
I think intensity is a good way to.
Yeah, intensity is better. Yeah, but it was a little bit louder on the dB scale. It was just a little bit, but that wasn't the point. And that's the point I want to make. Is that's not the point. So if you're a singer in the studio and you think, oh, if I just sing this louder, he'll get it. No. What Steve did was he felt it. and then the microphone captured the moment in audio, and now it's on YouTube, and anybody can enjoy it now.
Right.
Okay, Keenan, you had a question, buddy. Oh, he's not here anymore. Oh, well.
Yep, he just dropped out. He might be coming right back in. I was just on the phone with Hallie. Remember Hallie, the singer-songwriter?
Yeah.
I was on the phone with her, and I stopped, and I said, "Are you smiling right now?" And she was grinning from ear to ear. She said, she laughed and said, "Yeah, I am," because you can hear this stuff. And when like I said, when I listen to these old school singers, I really hear, I can just close my eyes and hear what's going on emotionally. And it's not just a bunch of fake stuff. And one of the guys was saying he turned out the lights for the singer. The singer got butt naked and was singing. There's 2 different times. One was a guy, one was a girl. And that's what made them comfortable. They felt okay, finally okay to do it. And they released. And one guy was real sweaty. It's like he's in there singing his butt off, and he ends up real sweaty. And it's like, bruh, I don't want to come in here. Here's a towel. I don't even want to see this.
Naked?
But that's the stuff. It's real personal, where you get in there and really let go. And this is why some of us will train a singer how to use a DAW, how to record themselves, and we'll leave so that person can feel even more comfortable getting stuff out. And then it's a matter of working it to where they're comfortable with us, where we're not non-judgmental, and they can really get into their craft. And there's a trust issue. Like, whatever you do and say, Brad cannot go and tell your business. Brad can't do a tell-all book on you and put your name out there and blast and all of that. And so there has to be that trust, and it's built over time. And you'll know. Like, Brad will give you that feeling, and whoever else, there has to be. It has to be where you can really let go and dive into yourself. So, but good job, bro. That's a big improvement.
I wasn't there, but I did have a client. They did a very erotic song, and they put some effects in it. Anyway, he actually had sex with a girl, and they recorded it.
Yep.
As part of the track, yeah.
Yep.
I want to hear that single when it comes out.
Prince has the like dirty. What was that? Anybody remember the Prince song? Wow, it's one of my favorite Prince songs. It is the most
Sugar?
nasty. Huh?
Was it Sugar?
Erotic City.
Oh, Erotic City.
And there's Erotic City. Oh, you guys, what you guys know about these songs? Yeah, it's before that. Darling Nikki. And I don't know if you guys have heard Darling Nikki, but like, you have to be willing to go there, whatever it is. If it's really happy, you go there. If it's really angry, you really go there. Not, oh, I'm mad. No, really be mad. And where,
on the song.
Yeah, the listener needs to actually feel it. Huh?
He chimed in and said something about, every song has a different feeling, and I said, I just added to that, every lyric has a different feeling.
Yeah, yeah, but bruh, like the weight of your vocal changed. It was just different. Like, there was just a different feel, and you can go. This is just a step, and then you go further, and you just keep going further and further and further. Like, there was an absolute change in the right direction as you were singing it, and I'm glad that you started picturing this young lady and you. And started.
That was great, man.
I hope she watches this. Huh?
I said that was great how you did that. It was beautiful.
Well, I hope she watches this so she can, it's like, babe, kind of had you in this show right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you could always go further, though. I mean, it's, there's always something new to discover, which is really fun about it. I mean, it's a balance because, like Brad said, if you hear something that's done and it's amazing, you got to make sure you recorded that. But as an artist, you can always go further in one way or another.
Right. You just don't want to do it in front of people. One of the things I always recommend before you do a vocal is to do the exact same thing every day for 2 weeks before you track it or before you perform it.
Yeah.
Now, Ely had a question. He was asking. He said when he'll have a singer outside the studio, outside the booth, and it's, hey, this is awesome. As soon as they get in front of that microphone, everything changes. and he's asking Brad, what does he do for that?
Oh, sorry.
It's Brad.
I guess I was thinking about something else. Okay. The best way to do that, first of all, it's good that they're doing live performing. And I don't know if you said they're doing live performing or you just said that, you'd catch them just singing, but generally speaking, if they do a lot of live performing, that's huge. Because what we're asking Steve to do is imagine he's somewhere communicating or feeling or being, and if he's never seen an audience reaction to that, it's much more difficult for him to repeat it in a dark room or light room, whatever, if there's nobody there. So the key is to coach them, like you were saying Cook was using a demo. I think that's a really good demo, obviously. I thought it was a very good idea. It's the same kind of thing, so that when Keenan is producing, he can help the artist draw from those live performances, and he can act like an audience and be an audience and applaud or say, man, I really was feeling you for 2 lines and then just felt like you disappeared for 1 line and then you were back again. It's like give the artist that kind of feedback, just like an audience would do with their eyes or their sandwich or whatever is that they're doing and not paying attention to you. You get that feedback and you say, oh, I remember that audience. I remember all those smiles, when I was strung out in love, or I remember there was a couple of women that cried when I sang these sad words, or you have that in your head. If you don't have that in your head, then like Steve said, yes, you can imagine, and there was only one artist I've ever heard of that could do that. Harry Nilsson had a couple of huge songs in the 70s, and he had never performed ever in his life. That is like a very, very rare. Yeah. I'm not bringing that up to say, oh, go do that. No, I'm bringing that up to say that is almost impossible.
Yeah, exception to the rule.
Yeah, big
right.
Rule.
Why is it that when you put a microphone in front of people, it messes them up?
They don't use them often enough.
Repetition.
Yeah, repetition is the mother of success. So they should always be singing on a microphone, either through studio monitors or through your PA or through your studio, whatever. I think, I don't always get what I want, but I try to get my online clients or the video clients to hook up a little studio for the sessions, so they're actually doing warm-ups on a microphone, so that it becomes your world. It's like, I remember I started off on microphones when I was a young teenager, and I remember somebody coming up and say, "Hey, sing something for me," and I don't have a mic. I can't sing. It was such a big part of our lives to have our electronic instruments, the amplifiers and the guitars and the microphones, and it was like, that's a world I'd never go to. So ever since I've been a coach, it's always kind of blown me away that people don't do that. It seems like almost an oxymoron to me. If you are performing on a microphone, or you want to perform on a microphone, then what is wrong with rehearsing with a microphone?
I don't know, because when I was younger, I used to actually hate hearing myself played back. I used to actually hate myself being heard. I used to hate being loud.
I understand. And I was different.
It's a bit weird to be hearing yourself back through monitors. It's like, what the hell? People can hear me everywhere. So,
right. So Ebony, what the problem there is that you didn't do it enough to get fearless.
Yeah. Now I don't care.
Repetition is the mother of success. The more you hear yourself, the less you'll give a shit.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, I don't care. I was talking to a jazz singer, and she says, why do I always freeze up when I get in the studio. She says, I do all these live performances. People love me. I was an actress, you know, and I'm kind of buoyant and everything. Why is it when I'm in the studio I'm so stale? And my first question was, how often do you put on a set of headphones and sing through a mic? Oh, she says, only when I go to the studio, maybe once, twice a year. I said, well, that's your whole problem right there. You're in somebody's house. You feel like you're a guest. You're not comfortable. You've never been there before. You don't know what to touch or what to eat or what to say or what to ask. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling to be in the studio. So if you create that at home so that when you go to the studio feels like home, it's going to be a little different, obviously, but you're going to perform more in the studio like you do in front of your audience because it's something you do all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Speaking of what Ebony was just saying, when I would, like, I used to have, like, I would record elders because, you know, it's like the elders are going to die. I want this stuff, you know, recorded. I want them recorded. And I would listen to my voice when I'd be talking to elders, and I would swear when I would listen back, that's not me talking. And I knew it was me talking, but the way I hear it in my head, you know, as it's resonating and what I hear off of that tape, that cassette tape, I'm like, that is not me. Like eliminating the issue of, like, what I do is I do stuff in drastic amounts to where I eliminate issues. So I have singers, if a mic, like when you put a microphone up in front of somebody's face, if it's close, there's air that's coming back. It's like the air's not just going out, it's hitting the mic, and there's this obstacle in front of you, pushing pressure. Like you can blow and push your head back. I don't like even seeing myself do that. Anyway, so I would have a singer stand up against the wall and sing, and there's pressure. You can actually feel the pressure if something's in front of your face and something is away. So a microphone is only so big. I'd have a singer sing up against the wall, which is very disconcerting. Sing the whole song all day, and then when you go to put a little microphone in front of them, it's like, oh, this little thing? So that was one drastic thing that I learned to do.
That's a good idea. I like that.
And another is, like, I would buy these cheap microphones, and when as a person walked around, if Brad walked up and said, hey, how you doing? They'd have to say, oh, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah.
All day.
Yep.
To where, I mean, there's nothing connected to this microphone, but their mouth is in front of this microphone and they're talking, and it just eliminates. I mean, I do it in drastic amounts. It's that old Chinese kung fu type stuff where you do it in drastic amounts. Yeah. That's what that is? Okay. And so then a person it would be nothing. But then there's still the thing, like what you're doing, Brad, when you put those headphones and the headphones thing, like what you're doing with him, I never took it there. I did that, like, that's smart. I never realized that, hey, everything we do in the studio, it should be like that if we're going to be recording and using the headphones, to where they get used to it. Which to this day, I still don't understand why more people don't do what you're doing, where when you're doing the training, a person has, if they're going to be recording with headphones and a mic, that I still don't understand why people don't do that. And I don't always record with headphones and a mic. A lot of times, it's a mic and no headphones. Like, there's tricks that we do to where, like, if I don't have time to get somebody comfortable with that and I want the performance, for me, they don't have to have headphones. I'll set something up. I know things to do. But that whole getting them acclimated, like what you're doing with Steve and your artists, I just don't understand why more and more people aren't doing that. It's like a duh to me.
You know, I don't either, and I love my headphones. I'd rather talk and sing in my headphones than anywhere else. But I've been doing this since I've had my clients since 1979, early 80s, on headphones the whole time, and no one's copying me, and I don't get it. I mean, there were two other coaches in the partnership I was in, and they knew what I was doing. They didn't do it. They're still not doing it. I don't get it either. I think I was on a hangout with. He just went through a big tragedy.
Were you saying Hilaire?
No, it was David Hammond.
Okay.
And anyway, I was on a different hangout with him, and I asked him. I said, because he's an engineer, he's been an engineering artist for a long time, deep in the business. Actually worked with Anita Baker live, so we had a couple of clients in common. And I asked him, kind of funny for me to ask somebody this, but I said, why in the hell don't singers know anything about the goddamn microphone? Why? What is going on? See, for me, I was lucky. It was second nature. It's just what we did. The first time I met another guitar player, he said, we started putting a band together. That's the first thing we did. We bought a microphone. I bought a bass guitar, and we plugged it into amplifiers. I mean, to me, it's really, really hard. But what Dave said was very interesting. He said, well, it's kind of our fault, talking in general about engineers or sound men or whatever. He says, we just cater to them, and they just get up and sing, and then we handle everything else. And as you know, Mayat, looking at all the different patches that are coming out every day and all the different stuff that's available to you as tools, that you can deal a lot with singers who don't know what the hell they're doing after the fact.
Yes.
But that's not what you prefer, I hope. I would hope, and I think
piss people off because I make them work.
Yeah, one producer I worked with, I think he was kind of proud of all his, his editing and all his, comping and everything. It's like, yeah, well, we did this and did this and did this, because she couldn't do that, and we did this because she couldn't do that, she could do that. Well, we did this. I was like, okay, all right, I understand that, but how does that help the audience who's listening to the record?
You never get that performance of Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson when he was a kid or anything like that from doing like a million edits. It really comes from them performing it. And so if they're not, I'm always hard on singers because with all the stuff that we'll go and train and learn, all they have to do is their vocal. They have one thing, and if they can't dive into that, if it's not worth it to them, it's like, for real, dude? Like, you have one thing and you can't really dive in, like even with songwriting. I'm studied in songwriting. I know people have been songwriting for years, and they don't know the stuff that I just learned in songwriting because they haven't studied their craft. They haven't read books and experimented and whatever, sought the knowledge. And so, but it is part our fault. He's absolutely right. And people will come and tell me, no, Mod, you have to just make everything easy for the singer and just make everything okay for them and cater to. I'm not gonna do that. There's a time where we come in and we work and we grow. And then there's a time where you have this creative environment where they can just let go and do it. Like, you train, and then you do, and you train and you do. And that train and building part gets left out because I can fix your pitch, I can stretch your vocal, I can put you on time, and I learned that from Kenny Joya's Groove 3 videos, how to do all that, and it's pretty dope. But there's no way I will ever get what I really want, which is, you talked about you and Dave on Rapture. Dave Hampton cut his teeth on Anita Baker's Rapture album. That was his first engineering, that was his thing where he got into engineering, was on that Rapture album. And so, like, that, what they did, we will never do if we're sitting up here doing one word at a time, cutting, stretching. It's not the same thing. She sang that.
Yeah, and there was two things I wanted to say about that. First thing, I better go back and remember or I'll forget it. What the hell was it? Oh, I want to say Michael Stokes was the producer on that. He's working with a client of mine right now. But there was something before that. There are some producers. I rarely ever read this, but occasionally I hear a producer who has a reputation for actually working with the artist in rehearsal before the studio. I mean, I think that's brilliant. I mean, again, it's kind of like what you're saying, Mayat. It's like, we don't understand. You and I don't understand. Why are these things not happening before the studio? Why are they just throwing a singer in the studio and saying, okay, I'm going to produce you, here we go? I've
seen Cook Carell do that using the demo, and it's dope, but it's not going to be You know, it's like if you got like 15 minutes, an hour, and that singer is not stellar. Well, he deals with some stellar singers, so hold on.
Yeah, it does
When
help.
you're
You know,
dealing,
once you
when you're
work
dealing with
yourself,
stellar singers, huh?
if you've worked your way up in the industry far enough, yeah, then you can kind of count on your artists being able to reproduce feel when you ask them to.
Right.
In
But when
fact,
you're not working with those Bruce Lee type singers, it's like, yeah, okay.
no, if you're working with Anita Baker, you can't get her out of that feeling.
See?
That's where she goes. That's what she loves. I mean, you start talking technique to her, she's just going to tune you out.
Good. That's one of my
But
favorite artists.
yeah, but you know, I like to help people change. I that's kind of my pleasure. I every once in a while I've said this to a producer. I said, "Your pain is my pleasure."
It works for me.
Yeah, yeah. Ebony's
Yeah,
performing
wow.
live now.
It's working.
I remember Ebony talking about she was scared of singing on stage or in front of people or something. How's that working out?
I was petrified of singing in front of people on stage and being loud and all that jazz. And I am loud as hell. The people at the back of the room come to the front to see what's going on. It's so cool. I like performed at a couple places and I've been told to come back, and yeah. So I'm enjoying the space that I'm in, and I'm enjoying being on the stage, and I'm actually liking being on the stage in opposed to being scared of it. The only thing I haven't quite mastered yet is when they say, "Oh, well done, you did great." I'm like still shying slightly from that, but but otherwise, like I don't know. There's a completely different person on the stage now. A completely.
Well, I'm very proud of you, Ebony. Ebony's been on several of these hangouts, and we did work for three sessions, and she's obviously done a lot with that. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, you guys. And Monet, are you still there? She's been coming in and out.
Yes, I'm here.
First, tell Larry I said hello first off. Now, you got any questions for Brad?
Oh man, I've always got questions for Brad. When don't I ever not have questions?
He's an artist like Steve who wants to grow.
Yes, always, always. You know, it's been a tough few weeks here for me, so I've kind of been in and out of state, dealing with a lot of deaths kind of back to back this year. I don't know what's going on, but it's been a difficult one. But yet and still, I keep pushing through. So, you know, emotionally, Brad, you know, I know, you know, traveling can take a toll on you, especially, you know, due to circumstances and stuff like that. So, you know, I just want to know how, I mean, now that it's like I got all these different things that are going on and I have so many different experiences. And so, you know, as in my writing, you know, I can tell my writing's changing. And then on top of that, it's just like the emotions that I'm feeling now, I kind of feel like it's on a whole different level from where I was. So now it's just like trying to hone into that, and I guess that's where I'm kind of having a little difficulty, is trying to hold into this emotion that I'm feeling so that it doesn't sound like, you know, it's kind of hard to explain it, but it's just I want to really capture this emotion that I'm feeling. And I guess I'm just kind of having trouble trying to get into it.
Yeah. You know, everybody nowadays wants to mass market. They want to be all over the world with their recording. You know, whether they be tennis teachers or kung fu. I mean, I saw this guy give a demonstration of Tai Chi, and I had a really incredible martial artist Tai Chi teacher, and this guy was way off of what Tai Chi has to offer. And it really scares me that he's showing this to people on a video.
Yeah.
Because they're probably going to get hurt.
Oh, wow.
Thinking that they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We did real training. We had to use 10-inch mattresses to fall on because these techniques crack the back of the person's head open to attack you. Yeah, and there's no way out. There's no way to roll out. There's no way to spin out. There's just no way. When Wong did this, when I attacked Wong, if I didn't have those 10-inch mattresses, I would be in big trouble. And I've had some Aikido experience, and Sandra had a lot. And we used to talk to people, how could you get out of this? And they'd go, shit, I don't know. I don't see a way out of this. And then we also, the Tai Chi people also use the wall to hurt you. So you can crack your head open on the floor, you can crack your head open on the wall, you can break your spine on the wall. You can there's actually methods where you can actually crack the person's spine during, like within seconds of their attack, you can actually break their spine.
I need to learn that technique.
Well, it's real. It's very serious. And I personally, Wong is not doing it. We would not teach that on a video. I mean, it's just totally irresponsible.
Yeah.
So where I'm heading with this is there's only so much I can do in a hangout and be a responsible person, and I can't really give you what you want on a hangout. If I tried, you wouldn't get it. And then it would be like, Brad, I tried and I didn't get it. I said, well, it's because we can't do this on a hangout.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally understand. Totally.
And vocal technique is the same. You need to give you a really dramatic reason for why I'm saying what I'm saying is when I was working with my partner, I was under him. He was always telling people, you need my ear, you need my ear, And he was absolutely right. I mean, I worked with him. I learned from him for like 3 to 5 years, and then was partner for a couple of years. And one day, he comes in, he's got this book, and he says, look, Brad, I want you to look through this and tell everybody about it. Well, the book was a self-teaching. It was a DIY thing. Uh-huh. And the cassette recorders, this is back in the 80s, the cassette tapes had opera singers doing the scales. And I couldn't do it. And it was part of our split up. I could not go there with him. I could not recommend that book.
Right.
I could have recommended his book if it was about principles and physiology, like I'm going to tell. That's just one of the things I missed with what Mayat was talking about, and you guys were talking about being on a microphone, and then hearing yourself back. Always remember there's a subwoofer in your head.
Okay.
And when you hear back a recording, there's no subwoofer, and you're just going, what happened to that?
Right. And
sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, I tried to squeeze the subwoofer out when I was recording because I thought, well, that's, I'd listen to John Lennon be singing like him, and said, well, I'm hearing myself in my head, and I'm going, I don't sound like John Lennon. Right. So I would actually go thinner, imagine there's no heaven, and think that I was sounding like John Lennon. But in my head, I have to not sound like John Lennon to sound like John Lennon. I have to sound like a bigger version of him. Right. Imagine there's no heaven. That's kind of what I'm hearing in my head. Imagine there's no heaven. And then when I'm listening back, I hear, oh, that kind of sounds more like John.
Right.
This is a bizarre little game that I had to come up with in order to actually sound like a real recording artist. But you have to ignore that subwoofer or understand that it's there, so that you don't let it affect you. And again, I tell people about this stuff, but when I'm actually coaching them, we don't talk about it other than just maybe briefly. I just want Steve here to not think about his subwoofer.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And now that you said that, and I'm like, okay, because when I got into the habit now of when I'm singing that I'm always wearing my headphones.
Yeah.
So, and I thank you for that, because beforehand it was just, I was just free ranging it with ears, and then, I'll plug one in. But sonically, it makes more sense. So that's what you actually hit exactly what I was trying to say. It's like, how do I figure out this whole subwoofer situation in my brain? Because it's like, I'll hear it one way, and then when I hear it play back, I'm like, no, that's not what I'm thinking. That's not what's coming through. So actually what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, so I was telling me out earlier, I don't know if we were if we were live or not, or if you were here, but there never should be a time that the producer should allow, and this is just my dream world, that a producer should allow the singer to come in and listen back.
Right.
Never happened.
Okay.
And if the producer allows you to anticipate that that's going to happen, you're already going to be out of the field.
Okay.
Because you're thinking, oh, what do I sound like out there? Well, that's not where feel comes from. It comes from you coming from your soul and your emotions, your feeling. You can't think about both and get both. These kind of things I can tell you.
I'm glad you said that, because now it's like when I know when I go into the studio to record, I'm going to tell them, when I'm done, I'm leaving. Don't have me come back here. I don't want to hear it. I'll hear it when it's completely done. Because I know if I go in there, then I'm going to start overthinking. And then it's just like it starts kind of reflecting on my confidence a bit. Saying,
Right.
I should have, waited more emotional this way or that way. And then it's just like I get fed up, and then I'm just like, I don't even want to do the song anymore, because now I've listened to it a million times because we're comping and doing this and doing that. And it just gets frustrating at the end. So now I know at this point in time it's just best to just do what I do and then just like leave.
We are not in a position to judge our own work.
Right.
We're just not. It's not reasonable. I actually did a blog about what I call the redundant theory. You might look it up on my page if you want.
Oh, I will.
And basically what I've learned, and actually Anita Baker was one of my influences on this. She said, I hate my voice. I hate hearing my voice. And I'm like, wait a minute. You were Billboard's #1 rhythm and blues singers of the year before you and I worked together. What are you talking about? And I'm one of those people when I hear something like that, it's like, okay, I got to figure it out. I got to figure out the reason for this. And my theory is that once you've sung something, you've done it.
Okay.
And listening back is redundant to you. You can't. I really don't believe that people can hear their own emotions and colors and feel.
Right.
So when you listen back, what do you go to? Your left brain turns on, and you go to, oh, was I on pitch? Oh, how was my tone? Oh, was I in rhythm? So kind of back what we talked about a little bit earlier in this hangout is like, you kind of have a reference point in your mind of what you think it should sound like, and that's wrong. You don't want to be there. You never want to be there. And I know producers won't tell you this quite often because, frankly, it goes against their income to tell you that because they want to make you happy.
Okay.
Now, they may know that if you don't go to the field that your recording is worthless. Right. But quite often they don't want to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
I actually have to kind of thank you there, Brad, because when the most recent of me going to a recording studio now is that if I sing something and I say, how did it make you feel? I ask that question now. It's like, do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Whatever the emotion may be, and I ask that question. Before I never asked that question, I would sing and they'd be like telling me about the pitching and this and that and blah blah blah. And so now I don't even put that into question. Now I sing, and when they say, oh yeah, but you need to this note, and I'm like, no, wait, let's start from the beginning. How did you feel? And then it works, and then they actually keep it a lot more of the time because now they're getting where I'm coming from now. They're understanding what I want in the song, so it becomes more of a better communication for myself, which is great. It works way better than me singing and worrying about notes and whether I'm singing it in perfect pitch. And because I find in that the when I was singing and worrying about pitch before, you're just kind of just getting that and that's it. And there would be no other everything. And then if you don't get the notes or the perfect in the perfect pitch and stuff, you get disheartened just for that fact that you didn't hit that C or that whatever they're trying to get you to do. And they automatically put you into baskets of other people in opposed to being yourself. So
Absolutely.
they want you to sing high. They have idea of Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or whoever the hell they've got idea in their head of. But now, because I'm singing it like me, in a sense, when I go into the studio and I say, but we're not being, I'm idea in my head of how, like, say, backing vocals or things like that I want on the track, I will say, okay, right, today I'm going to sound like this person, and I have that in my head, and I'll try and aim for that if I want a choice now, in opposed to it being the producer saying, no, it doesn't sound right, do it again, which is kind of cool. So I just think that we should all just sing with emotion. Yay!
Yeah, you
It's
reminded
way
me of a
better.
discussion, and I want Steve to chime in too. You remind me of a discussion I had with five-time Grammy winner Brian Vibberts. We were hanging out, and he was asking me about, what the hell's a vocal pre-producer? I was like, what do you do? I mean, I, I sometimes actually people are a little bit rude, like, what is a vocal pre-producer? It's kind of interesting, but at least they ask. If I say I'm a voice coach, they just turn me right off. They just go, oh, this guy's going to screw up my artist. But anyway, he made an interesting observation of what I was talking about. He says, well, you're kind of like a psychologist, aren't you? And I said, yes and no. I said, yes, I am, because I'm helping people bring the feel out, but I'm not doing it to help them therapeutically. That's, I don't have that ability, and I don't want to pretend that I do. But yeah, Ebony, we're all talking about the feel. We're all talking about emotions. And so, yeah, if I'm coming across a little bit like a psychologist, when I said, well, how does that make you feel? That's fine. I mean, I'm not doing it to drudge up old memories and, and get you all crying and upset and everything, so that you can work out your problems. That's not the reason. But there is a similarity in what we're talking about in this hangout, that it's all about, what did I feel? What do I feel? How do I want to feel? It's not about, like you said, it's not about whether you hit that C or not, or Mayat said, I can stretch the beat, but I need it from you first. I need it from you.
Yeah, when I'm with them in the studio, I actually tell them that, like, I ask them, how did that particular thing make you feel? Like, right. So I'm using them as like audience now.
Excellent.
And saying, did that connect with you? Did that make you sad? Did that make you happy? I'm asking them that question. So whoever's recording me or whoever's just there, if there's someone sitting in waiting for a session after, or whatever the case may be, I ask them, what does that make you feel? So now I know I can connect. I'm connecting with an audience, in opposed to just randomly singing the song or the notes or whatever. I'm actually trying to work more on that connection.
You're very intelligent.
By Brad.
You're very intelligent. You've gotten a lot out of a very little bit of time. Now, Mayat and I have worked a lot, and he's gotten a lot out of that. And I hear myself talking out of his mouth quite often, which I'm proud of. I think that's totally cool.
Now I see a little Brad popping out of Mayat's mouth.
Here we are talking about imagery. Way to go, Steve.
That's funny.
I have a client recently who made a comment, and I want Steve to chime in on this. She said, yeah, I have to watch out for the jazz police. She sings a lot of her buyers or the people in the studio with her are jazz people. And she says, she'll say to me, well, what is the jazz police going to say if I miss this note? And I'm like, okay, we got to get out of there. Get those people out of your head, get them out of the studio. So what do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, to me, the jazz market, because I've done jazz, I've been doing jazz gigs since and the jazz market is, they love the technical side. There's this whole area where jazz players. I mean, there's bands that are playing for other musicians, that because they're so cool technically and stuff. But I will say that the jazz market, I think, is similar to like what we're doing because the really great jazz artists still have this great emotion. I think the really, really great jazz artists have mastered the technical side and they've mastered the emotional side. So they're still looking for emotion at the end of the day. But there's some bands that, I'm not going to say, but that they're just so good technically, and that's awesome, But I've gone to see them play, and I'm like, I don't, there's nothing I get out of it, and I could just, if it was the radio, I would change the radio station,
Yeah.
Because yes, you have to master the technical side in order to play a piano or to sing. You got to have some technicality, but then you got to go to the emotion side and stay on the emotional side.
Yeah, and I wish
Okay,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say I learned that the technical stuff was to facilitate the emotional stuff and not the other way around, not the emotional to facilitate the technical. Like I would never tell somebody not to become technically great, but the reality of it is that technical is supposed to should be made to where you can affect us emotionally even more because you're so skilled. And Anita Baker is a jazz singer, and she affects me big time. Now, if I go out and I look out into the crowd and I say, okay, there's 300 people and 250 of them are jazz musicians. It's like, okay, so Steve, you're going to have to be on some jazz aficionado stuff tonight because that's the crowd. But other than when it's that way, if you walk out and this crowd is regular people and you got a few jazz whatever, like people with perfect pitch and whatever in the audience, to hell with them. You've got
and I like what Steve said. They have to have feel too, the great ones. Now, there are not a lot of great ones, and this is a problem. But here's something interesting that happened with this singer who was talking about the Jazz Police. I've been working with her almost always on emotion, and one of her Jazz Police people said to her the other day, wow, what you're doing with Brad is really working. Now, he's assuming that we're working on technique. In his mind, what the improvements we're making are technical. But we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about emotion, and that's creating a better technical singer. It's bizarre. But I can really tell you about that one.
I got told the other day. I was told to a guy came up to me after I'd finished singing and stuff and said, wow, I really liked you. And then he was like, you sound like you're from the 30s, but now I closed my eyes and I couldn't work out whether you was really old time, like way back in the day singer. You make it sound both.
Well, that's what everybody says about Adele.
Yeah.
And they were saying it about, there was another girl who kind of brought back that era. What was her name? Had several huge hits. And she was...
saying all about that bass.
Meghan Trainor?
No Trouble. Her?
Meghan Trainor?
No, there's more modern ones. But no, this was more about 5 or 7 years ago. And she was...
What, Duffy? Duffy?
No.
No, huh?
Yeah, she was on stage with Willie Nelson, and she was being hailed as this incredible songwriter, and it's not going to come. But anyway,
is she really young?
She was at the time. Now she only had the one big album, and she's put out other albums, but she hasn't hit the airways again. But yeah, channeling those artists out of the 30s and stuff like Billie Holiday and people like that. That's very wise. Channel those people. Very wise.
Can I tell?
Ebony, if
Mm-hmm.
like what you were saying about being in the studio with a producer or whatever. So if you and I were in the studio, the way I would work to keep you and I from like choking each other is we would have to see once we have a common goal, and the goal is the focus and not our opinion, like not our egos, but the goal. It makes it much easier. So if you tell me that this song is about whatever, like what Steve was saying, and then we say, okay, so our goal is to get the audience to feel that way, then it's just how we get there. You know, we'll color this and color it that way, whatever. But when you press play,
I don't have an ego. I don't have an ego when I'm in there. I'm just like, I'm more like, I'm open to all criticism. I like it when I get.
It might not be your ego. It might be
like this or fight like that. I try
it. Might be the producer's
yeah,
ego.
it's true.
Whoever's ego.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is once we have a goal, like say you tell me here's the song's journey path emotional journey path, and I want the listener to feel this at this moment, this at this moment, this at this moment. Then it's a matter of once we establish that that's our goal, then it's a matter of is the listener feeling that? And if the listener is not, then we got work to do. So we try it your way, you say, and we play it for people, and they don't get that feeling, and okay, try it my way, and they don't get that feeling. So Steve says, both of y'all are kind of lame. Why don't we try it this way? So we try it that way, and it works, then that wins out. But it's goal-based, and that removes the ego a bit. You know, it's like there's no denying, hey, this made her cry or it did not. Yep, you had this. Yep, that's cool. You did a super 17th chord suspended whatever. That's nice. Nobody felt it. So that did not achieve the goal. And then when you hit these two notes right here, these two notes with this deep bass note made everybody's chest rumble, and they thought about their grandmother, and a tear dropped. Okay, that won. But that's so simple. Yeah, mastery can be in the simplicity. You can do more with less. Hey, whatever is effective. So it's goal-based.
You know,
that's how we eliminate some of that.
When the Andrews singers, the Andrews sisters used to sing, they used to sing it against each other. Yeah. One of them be on a C and the other be on a B.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for very long.
Yeah.
Because that'll drive you crazy. But
on some parts.
They could do that. They were very good at that.
Okay.
My producers made a track, and it's got a bit of the Andrews sisters singing in the background. I know it's probably going to be in a lot of trouble.
Incredible. You were doing that with emotion.
But it sounds amazing.
It's like Steve was saying, and I've said so many times, you got to get the technical out of it. At the same time you're learning your technical, you have to be thinking emotionally, and this is my soap opera about the colleges and the schools, is that they don't allow you to think about emotion while you're learning technique. And so then they think, and I actually had somebody think I was a bad person because I said this, she said, well, you just learn the technique and then you could just feel it. Well,
no, you can't.
No.
You know the amount of people in my uni that are like literally stuck because they know so much about every single technique, what the name of the voice box parts are called and blah de blah. But then when they go to sing and then the teacher like downgrades them, oh, not enough motion, blah de blah. But it's like, how? We don't even know what we're doing. How are we supposed to know that? You're not telling us that. I literally mean that if I didn't do the stuff with you, Brad, I'm sure still I wouldn't have like learned that in that depth.
They don't understand it. They don't want it. They don't care about it.
Okay, well that's that. And then you move back on and you're like, well, you need breathing technique to be able to belt, and you need to be able to do this, and it's okay to be able to do all of those things, but I've learned a lot more and used the emotion side of things now.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
I have to hope that that people will start imitating me, because I was telling one of my clients the other day, I'm 63
I
now.
did not like.
I don't know how long I'll be able to continue to do this work. So if nobody imitates me, it's going to be lost.
Oh, you've got younger people following you. I'm one of them.
Me too.
But people need that talent. They need that skill. And, like, I've seen it come into play several times. Like, when Monet came to California, we were at Starbucks, and we were doing, I don't remember if I told her the lyrics, she told me, whatever. And I gave her instruction, and she simply adjusted, and it was dope. And it's because of a certain skill level. So you practice these skills, and then when it's time, it's like you practice skills. When it's time to fight, you let go of your skills, and you just fight, and the skills will come out of you. The effect of your training happens. But when you have these skills, you can ask, somebody asks you to do a backflip, and you can do it because you have the skill. And so, but that combination of skill and then that raw, natural guttural thing that's in, like, there's an innate thing inside of us with emotions and whatever. That's it. And, like, you sing a song or you give a speech. Like, I used to listen to, there's speakers when they would speak with no music, captivating the audience. But we can't captivate an audience with a full orchestra, and planes flying over. Something is wrong.
That guttural feeling is
yeah.
In a sense, it's kind of ironic that we're having this huge hangout, because that guttural emotional feeling you almost can't describe in words. You just have to do it, and it's just a thing you do that, like I said, it's just you feel it, and again, you can't quite put in words.
Well, yeah, that's why I say to you guys, what are you feeling? It's like, you don't have, if you tell me it's purple polka dot pink, I'll say great. Yep. It's a very subjective thing. And that's why this is kind of my little soapbox. I think it's why a lot of schools are not able to help artists, because first of all, they can't do it themselves. They don't understand it themselves. And then second of all, it's not something you could do in a cookie cutter style. Right. I can't go to Steve and say, okay, this is the chord and this is the note, and you sing this, and there's going to be great feel. I can't do that. I have to help him. Sometimes he'll bring in a song, and this is something I want singers to really think about, because I've heard this from producers many times and other musicians. They will take a street singer over a vocally trained singer any day of the week, because the street singer, and what I'm talking about is the self-taught, have the guttural feeling. Sometimes they don't, but if they do have it and they don't have any training, they'll sign that person any day of the week over somebody comes and says, well, I'm Juilliard, and I took the vocal program at Berkeley, in Boston, and how could you turn me down? I'm incredible. I know all this stuff. And then some idiot comes in and doesn't know shit, gets signed right off the bat, because the audience responds more to reality than it does to teaching. And so if you're not thinking about emotions while you're training your vocal technique, it's not going to happen. You're going to be like so many others that have spent all their time on technique, and then, yeah, somebody, like you said, they do it on American Idol to these poor kids. They say, well, I don't really feel it. Well, just last week they gave them all this technical information. Say, well, you need to do this, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then they come back the next week and they sing and say, well, I don't feel anything. Well, of course not. You didn't help them feel anything. Whether I'm with you or not, it doesn't matter. You've got to keep emotions in your head all the time, no matter what anybody's telling you, or what school you're going to, or whatever. Because, like Mayat said, I'm not against education by any means, but you have got to keep your artistry to yourself, and you've got to keep it in there, and you've got to be thinking about it while you're doing. I wrote a blog about why should people do warm-up? It's so boring. Well, I can't disagree with you, but if you're doing it because you're going to express your emotions in front of an audience, now it has a whole new meaning. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, you're saying after you warm up, then you're going to express your song.
Yeah.
I've been practicing all the technical.
Oh yeah. When I don't warm up, I mean, I sound like shit. I mean, I'm not. My chords aren't flexible. I don't feel like I can hit notes.
Yeah, me too.
So you just warm up to get out of the way, so you're ready to sing.
Mhm.
Yeah. What happens to you guys, and it happened to me when I was with my old partner, and when he trained me strictly on technique, was I was starting to lose my street feel. And I was having some people tell me, oh, I can see that you can sing a high note better, but I liked you better before, and I'm like scratching my head. What are they talking about? One of them was even a producer who put some money into me when I was younger. And we connected again after I had been working this technique, and that's exactly what he said. He says, yeah, you got better chops. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with that old term, but it means you have better technical musical skills. But I don't feel you anymore. It's gone. This is not good. What you're going through. So what happens to us is we get all this technique in there, and then we can't feel anything anymore because we've been trained for 3 years or 5 years or whatever to strictly think about pitch and rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we think about. And if you're an arranger or a pianist, and you think, like Matt said, you're thinking about what chord am I going to use. And I actually didn't totally understand it at the time, but I lucked out with my theory teacher, because at the end of the course he said, and of course it was the end of the course, he said, he says, don't get all caught up in these chord changes and everything that I've taught you. Just feel it. Just you know the theory now. Just feel it. But the problem with that kind of information is it's almost impossible for most people, not all people, because there are stars out there, but most people cannot translate that information into practical application.
Can you say, like, one of my favorite quotes that I've heard from you is how there's like the amateurs, and then there's the stars, and there's the. Can you say that? Because that's like.
Yeah, I came up with 4 categories of singers or musicians. There's the amateur. Okay, they might have feel. Actually, this is kind of interesting. They might have it, but in my category, an amateur doesn't have feel, and they don't have any skills, and they're working on it. Well, of course. I mean, I understand that. I mean, you don't expect miracles out of an amateur. Then you have a professional, and these can be like your background singers on that show, 20 Feet from Stardom, where they have all these skills, and they're really fast, and they're really great, and they really sing on key, and they're really terrific, and you're really impressive, but they don't have emotions yet. So these 2 categories are not really giving the audience anything yet. Now you come to this category called stardom. Now I'm not talking about how many fans you have. I'm talking about what you have inside of you, because, by the way, you can't be a star, and you have to be a star before you can be a star. Nobody's going to sign you if you don't sound like a star already. Now, a star is like people sometimes that we think about on the radio that kind of twist our ears, and we go, oh my God, why is that person on the radio? Well, that person has feel dripping out of their pores. They may not be very good technically. They may not even sing on key ever. I have artists that I loved in the 60s that now that my ear is trained, I can hear that they never sing on key. Not ever. They never sing one note on pitch. And I had to actually, for a while, get away from thinking about that because it was driving me nuts. Now, is that enough? No. There is also called superstars. Now, these people are like what Steve was talking about, these great jazz people. They have all of these skills, all of these chops, but they also have emotions. And they're very rare, and they get a lot of touting. They're like your Christina Aguileras and your Anita Bakers and your Aretha Franklins and Jason Derulos and people who can really blow you away technically, but what you really feel from them is their emotions. And like somebody said to me, if singer hits a high note, and I think Matt said something about this. If somebody sings a high note and there's no emotion about it, then why sing it? So everybody wants to extend their range. All the singers, I want more range, I want more range. I'm going to buy this program, I'm going to take it home, and I'm going to get more range. Well, first of all, that won't work, but most importantly is that if you have a high note in your range and it has no emotion, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. So if you're not thinking about the emotion, you're not getting across. So that's why I came up with those 4 categories.
We might have to
Yeah.
come up with a game where people listen to music and start identifying the emotion that they hear and feel. Because it's getting very clear to me that people really need listening and feeling exercises where they really get in touch with sound and how sound affects people. Because when I listen to Fur Elise, like I say, there's no words, and it's an emotional journey. Same with Beethoven's Fifth. There's this emotional journey, say, just speeding up the notes, or volume changes. How does volume affect you emotionally? When I go from low to loud to louder, and go from doing things slowly to faster, you start identifying what these things do to your body and do to your emotions. We might need to come up with some exercises that help people with that.
Well, I might be being a little premature, but I am working on a course right now, and you know how much I'm against those things. This one will teach amateurs how to actually learn celebrities' phrasing. In other words, I'm not singing, the celebrity's singing, and they're going to learn it directly from the celebrity. And they can pick any celebrity they want once they've gone through my method. Now, the people who understand emotions can listen for that, too. Mm-hmm. Because it's there. You know how Steve said he never sings the same phrase the same way twice. A very great singer that I'm using on this program, and she's a classic, is Bette Midler. And the song that I picked is a classic called The Rose, and the entire melody is 1 octave. And most of the phrases are identical if you look at them on a piece of sheet music. But when you actually listen carefully to Bette sing it, she never sings the same phrase the same way twice. Ever, in the entire song. It took me a lot of time to really get into it and hear that, and this program will take you through it so you're actually singing with her, and then you record it and find out whether you actually nailed the phrase or not. But when you're trying to copy a singer who actually has this emotional phrasing, it takes a long time to get the phrasing down. You can't count on, well, okay, the first verse is like this, or the second verse is like that, and the third verse is like that. You can't count on that. You can't even count on, well, the chorus was like this, so the second chorus is going to be like that. Now, there are some songs, we should put this in there. I was just listening to Timberlake's song, Suit and Tie. And the chorus is pretty strict. They have a lot of voices on there and a lot of effects, and so everything's pretty much right on the beat. Everything's pretty much, for that genre, on key. But then when Justin starts doing the solos, everything is totally different. Every line is different. Every line. And he improvs a little bit on top of the choruses, and those are all different. Every time he opens his mouth, something's a little bit different because he's feeling something different. It really takes a long time to learn. So we'll have to take a look at that, Matt, see how, what I'll do is I'll give you a copy of the program, and you can...
I would love that.
And we can talk about that. That's a very interesting concept. I don't know if it's possible. Like I said, I worry about, telling people, okay, you should really feel stuff, and then they get depressed and go kill themselves or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love to check this out, though. I have a recording where the music is doing all this emotional stuff, and the singer was told, well, the singer told me what the lyric was going to be. It was a simple sentence, and she sang that sentence the whole 3 to 4 minutes of that piece of music. But if you don't pay attention, you don't even know that she's saying the same thing, because emotionally, what she's communicating is not the same message, even though she's saying the same thing. Meaning, if the sentence is, I love you, when I communicate to you, like I'll communicate it to you three different ways right now. I love you. I love you. I love you. All three of those, it's the same words, but it's different communication. And that's what she did on this. That was the exercise. And when all she was focusing on was that simple sentence that she was doing, and she added a couple of words, said a little extra this and that sometimes, to where she was actually conversing. And it worked out great. Like, you listened to it, and she did it like 10 times. And I never gave her time to stop and think. You know, once it was done, I'd ask her a question that dealt with whatever she was singing about, and then she started singing again, to where she couldn't get up and caught up into her classical training or stage training that she had. She just stayed into that emotion and kept going. But like I said, she was saying the exact same thing. She wasn't worried about phrasing. She was emotionally saying stuff. Sometimes she end a sentence, and it's like, oh, I can't start it at the same point. And then she just wait and just blurt it out and feel it. And it just became this waxing, waning, back and forth thing, where she got caught up into emotion and just saying stuff just like I'm saying to you right now. I'm not on a beat, but she was in time with the music, but it was a feel thing.
Yeah, and when you study someone clinically who uses feel, you find out that like you said, all their rhythms and their pitches and their inflections are all different on every line.
Yeah. And when she did this, it's like that Justin Timberlake thing. It's not a thing of, like, we'll be told, okay, the hook has to be the same and blah. No, it's emotion that's captivating you. This was done different the next time, and it's emotion that's captivating you every time, to where you don't realize that it's the same thing, where somebody might sing a hook and it's cut and paste or whatever, or you actually notice it's the same thing because the emotion is not overwhelming you and you're not on this emotional journey. Yeah.
Right. But I think there's sometimes in the radio era, especially, where sometimes you want people to sing along with the chorus, and if you mix it up too much, it gets to be a little bit of a problem for them. Even Justin Bieber's got a single out right now that the feel on the verses is really emotional, but the choruses are pretty canned, they're pretty strict.
You talking about the Mama song, My Mama Don't Like You?
No, it was something about, I never remember the stories because I'm always looking at everything else, but it was something about I love you, hate you thing, kind of thing.
Okay, well, the Mama Don't Like You, My Mama Don't Like You song, the ladies might be able to tell me, or Steve, but that song really got me when he came out with that.
Well, he just came in on the Billboard Top 10 at #2 with the song he has right now.
Who's this?
Okay.
Which I can't remember. Anyway, Steve's going to be leaving, so anything you want to get out of Steve before he goes?
Yeah, Steve, make sure you let your lady hear this conversation since she was involved.
Bill, actually. I'm going to send her the link. Yeah. All right. Well, I got to head out, so I got a gig.
He's a working man.
The next time we do the Mentors Lab in California, Steve, you should come and join us, participate. I don't know if Brad's told you about it or whatever. He might be keeping a secret from you. He might not like you. You know, that's how it goes. But no, like, yeah, you should come join us and just have some fun. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to. Hit me up. I'm here.
All right.
All right. Yeah, thanks.
Ladies, you guys have anything for Steve because he has to head out?
No, I would like to say great job today. I really dig the song. Now that I've really heard it and kind of broke it down, yeah, I'm really digging it. So kudos.
Thanks. Yeah, you heard a snippet. Yeah, find me on Facebook. Just Stephen Solomon. If you just
With a
type that
V,
in.
right?
Yeah, Stephen with a V.
Oh, with the B. Okay.
Solomon. Yeah, yeah. Hit me up. I'd love to hear what you guys do.
I love it.
Thanks. Evan,
I
where are
loved
you
it
from?
too.
I'm just curious.
England.
Oh, no.
That accent, huh?
And she's in England.
West Side, eh?
Like 6 o'clock there.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
So I liked it. Keep on with the old good old getting involved in the emotional side stuff.
Yeah, good job today, bro.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Welcome.
Take care.
Hello, my name
Hey,
little
son, I
boy.
absolutely agree.
I know he has a whole lot to say.
Bye-bye. He's going like this.
He's so
Bye-bye.
cute.
As he walks out the door. Bye-bye.
I'm like stealing his lyrics right now. I'm writing them down.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, my little one decided that he just wanted to stroll in here at the very last second. Now he's like making a list of demands of me, and I'm just kind of looking at him like, not today.
I always like the little ones being recorded on these because it's part of the history. So you'll go back when your son is, say, 15, 20 years old, and he'll hear himself. You know.
I know,
Stop
right?
me.
So this was you when you was a baby. You had a lot to
this is
say.
Brad Chapman. You're like, yeah, son, Brad Chapman was with you.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, Brad, is there anything else, Brad, or ladies?
Oh, only one thing was interesting I noticed about how they're using auto-tune on the top 40 right now.
Uh-huh.
They're tuning the rapper's voice, but they're not tuning it to perfect pitch.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. Now Drake is pretty close. They're pretty close to the pitch, but there was another rapper I was hearing that was using auto-tune or Cubase or however they're doing it, you know. But you hear that kind of thing, and the notes are right. They didn't tune them exactly to pitch on the key.
Well, one of the things we end up having to be careful of is we'll fix something perfect in pitch and take away the feel.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you just want to nudge it in the right direction, or nudge it and give it. It might be in the so-called wrong direction to give it a certain vibe or feel. But a lot of times, like, somebody will come and take the magic out of what is there by going in and doing some super precise, making things so-called perfect.
Yeah. I understand Drake, and I understand his feel. I've seen him perform, but I don't really get it that well. His feel. I mean, it's a swagger. It's a hey, I'm cool. Nobody's better than me kind of thing, and apparently the women really like that. But I don't know. Just I understand it. There is feel there. But I have a little trouble personally hearing it with that auto-tune on there like that.
Ladies, Brad has trouble feeling.
To be fair, I have to be honest. I don't actually. I like Drake's work, and I like his writing. The fact that he can make any Tom, Dick, and Harry destroy what he's writing by doing it in such a way that you literally get captured in what he's saying. I like that, but auto-tune, I can't bear it. I absolutely can't stand it. And majority of the songs these days all sound like robotic. And I liked it back in the day, like when Guy did it, and like he had played the piano thing, and he used to have the thing in his mouth, and that was dope. But now it's like so many people are doing it. It's like played out. And
everything else sounds the same. Like, to me, music, it all sounds the exact same. So it's like I have a hard time separating what song is what. Because I'm like, did I just hear this song? And it's like, oh, no, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, that was? I'm like, I don't know the difference between
Yeah,
Cornflake and Fetty Wap. They both all sound the same to me right now. You know what
they
I
sound
mean?
the same.
Yeah.
Well, you
So,
know what
totally
our
agree.
problem is? Our problem is we're too old. If we were 10 and 11 and 12, just starting to listen to the radio, we'd be like, oh, listen to that cool effect. Oh wow, did you hear that? That's so neat.
oh God,
I tell
no.
you what it is. It's because we grew up on actual music. People
Yeah.
making noises, sounds, people singing in real ways, hearing actual voices in opposed to this
Yes.
electronic stuff.
And
Whereas we
When
don't hear
your
like the odd
experience,
electronic.
when your experience is extremely limited, your understanding is extremely limited, a crumb
Yeah,
is
I
a
want to change
glorious
that.
thing.
Yep.
You know, so but
I so want to change that. I
it's
want to
not that
back
these
real
kids
music,
can't
man.
enjoy. It's not that these kids can't enjoy excellence, but excellence
They
has
love
to
the
be
Beatles.
delivered in a way that they can feel and hear it. And it, you know, some people are doing it, and you know, it's coming.
Yeah, that's why I want to try and I'm trying to mix and merge my music. So it's kind of now but then.
Right.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I
That's what I'm
really
trying
want
to
to
do.
go
I don't
back
want it to
more
sound.
so to like the funk sound. Like to me, I think that was like the coolest era ever, even though that's like way beyond my years. But like, you know, that really southern country funk. I guess that's what you would call it. Like that right there to me is like it's hitting me hard. I don't know why. And I'm like, hey, if I can bring it back, trust me, I'm going for it because I mean, I heard some stuff when I was down in St. Louis these past couple of days, and it just blew my mind. But I was like, now this is music. Like, I mean, it really just grabbed a hold of me where I was like, now this is what they mean by southern, southern funk. I totally get it. I was totally digging it.
Yeah,
As
I've been
as
going to a
Prince
lot
Charles
of
Alex,
youth bars of recent as well, which have a lot of all of that good stuff. All of the places that I've been performing in have been old blues, jazz, and funk nights, and I'm just like, wow! I just go there and soak up all this information and
Yes,
different
yes,
styles of play and stuff. That is like so dope to me. Like all this
yes.
electronic wow
Yeah.
music I can't get with.
I can't
I
either.
don't even
I
play it
can't
at home.
either.
Like I probably play like 2 tracks and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm done with that. I'm going back to my old school. I can't deal with this.
as Prince Charles Alexander said, the people with the musical acumen or whatever, they have to join the conversation and they have to get in here and participate in the conversation to where they start having influence. It can't just be unskilled people doing stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been that way
So
for a long
once,
time, though, Mayat. It's been that way for a long time.
yes, well, things change, and we have to make stuff change. Yeah. But like I say, it's coming. But like, there's a resistance that I'll see where people who have the talent don't want to participate. Like with Prince Charles Alexander and his classes at Berkeley School of Music, he actually makes them stop and study the hits. So they'll study Drake and study Rihanna. And so you hear Umbrella, Ella, 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 and it's like, okay, why did this communicate with people? You have all this musical talent. Why did this communicate? And then make your stuff communicate like that. What's that, Ebony?
Yeah, they made us study. They made us study Beyonce at uni. Like you get like different options, obviously, but like in each for each option, they teach you a little bit. If it's say blues and then country and then like whatever, they'll give you little sections on that, and they had a whole thing on Beyonce, and I was like, why are we just? I don't understand. There's like so many, not to diss Beyonce, I love her to pieces, but there is so many different styles of Beyonce. Why wouldn't you introduce literally just about her and that was it? I was just like completely baffled as to like.
So,
The bottom.
Mayat, what
in the
method does Prince Charles? what method does he use to study these artists?
What method does he use?
Yeah, I mean, you just have
Well,
listened to the records or what?
yes, but listen to them and then actually figure out what it is that they're doing that's actually communicating. Like, it's called Hit Songs Deconstructed. Like, if you get online and get on YouTube and look up Hit Songs Deconstructed, there's two different videos. One is him doing the basic introduction and explaining himself, and then the other is the guy who actually wrote the book on that, where he's going through saying, what I learned from this song is this. If you listen to this song and you catch these things that are going on in this song, you start they actually take songs and rip them apart. Hit songs. Also, Robin Frederick has a book where she's done the same thing, where she breaks the songs apart and says, here's what these guys are doing to affect you emotionally, so that you start learning to use these skills, and then you use your skills. Like Prince was an accomplished musician, and yet he, year after year, would affect us with his songs, as skilled as he was. So what is it that Prince is doing? Like, one thing that I learned, which is why I stay on this musical vocal stuff, is if I play I can load up a drum pattern, make a drum beat, and that drum beat will make people's head bob. And it's like, okay, that's communicating to people, and I'll watch little kids, everybody move. Then I have somebody's vocal be based on that drum pattern, and we nail it, and when people listen, the people are bobbing their heads to that drum vocal. That it's a drum vocal, a vocal based off of the drum beat. The people will be bobbing their head just like when that drum beat was playing, because that rhythm and bounce, whatever, it got them. So you have a layer of musicality plus what they're saying. So we hit them with a double punch, and that's the type of stuff. It's like you got to study and figure out what these hit songs are doing. What is it in a Katy Perry song that's actually making people be moved? And if you learn that stuff and then you just start applying it to what you do, it has an effect. And the stuff, when I've studied work, like I studied Michael Jackson, if you go listen to Michael Jackson Want to Be Starting Something, and you stop and you listen and try to figure out on his verses how many different rhythms is he actually using. Is he really just using one rhythm for his first verse, or are there 5 different rhythms in his verses? And then how many hooks does he actually have in that song? And how many bridges? And once you start figuring this stuff out, and is he using a pre-chorus, and what is a pre-chorus for? Like, once you learn what a pre-chorus is for, you use it as a tool, and maybe you'll have 2 pre-choruses. Once you realize the use of a pre-chorus, things like that. And then you just start applying them to your music, and you can break the rules and do more than what you think can actually be done. Like, Parliament Funkadelic could play for 12 minutes, and people be stuck in it and jamming. Why? And once we figure that out, we can go and kick some butt with it.
What was the second name? Hitmaker what?
Hit Songs Deconstructed. Hit Songs
Deconstructed.
Deconstructed. Yes.
Let me finish typing this. I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this. Deconstructed. You've been to the Grammy panels and stuff where they have songwriters, right?
Yes, all the time.
And so people will do what you're talking about in the audience. They'll say, well, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And did you know it was going to be a hit song? And, all this intellectual stuff. And every time they come back and say, I don't know.
They didn't know that it was going to be a hit song. And some songs you do know is going to really resonate with people, and a lot of songs you just don't know.
They also said they didn't know how they wrote them. They did
Some of that is garbage. Some of that is garbage.
You think they're lying?
Some of that, yes. Some of that is garbage.
They're not going to really want to give away their winning formula, though, are they?
Yeah, right. But you're going to think back in the 60s, which is one of the most popular eras of today, even in today. Those people had no clue what the hell they were doing. There were no schools. There was no nothing. It was only listening to other artists.
See, now, to say that there were no schools, and that's why there'd be people in a bayou with no school who would be able to affect people, and they'd be able to do it over and over and over, Some of them could end up teaching it, some of them couldn't. It's not about the schooling. Like, I did a lot without schooling. And so when I go to do stuff, people are like, "How? Whoa! I approach it totally different." I had to really understand. And so there's a lot of people who did stuff who did not understand. Now, you go to talk to those Nashville songwriters, like Steve Seskin. The name Steve Seskin. You guys Google that name. Steve Seskin.
How's it spelled?
On YouTube. S-E-A-N, I believe. But Steve Seskin, as he'll sit there and explain, okay, well, in the second verse, we had a second verse surprise. The second verse wasn't the same as the first. And when we wrote this song, when we do this, there's guys who are prolific songwriters who actually know what they're doing stuff on purpose. Like Diane Carroll. People really think Diane Carroll doesn't know what she's doing when she's writing these songs. As many hit songs as she had.
Well, I think they know what they're doing. I just don't think it. I don't think they intellectualize it the way the schools do. That's all.
Oh yeah, and some like this guy right here. The stuff he says in his book, people aren't saying. There's just stuff in there that people are just not saying, and yet, like, I'll go study something, I'll find out the truth, and they'll start talking to me, and I'll be like, no, blah, blah, blah. And they'll say, well, you don't have any awards. You can't prove it. I said, well, okay, so right now, if we get on this stage together and I demonstrate and you demonstrate, I'm going to lose, right? Because, I don't have any awards. But if I get with the singer, I'm not going to be able to do what I say I can do, right? Like, I dare you to get up on this stage and we start demonstrating and you tell me I can't do what I'm talking about. I'm doing all the time. I can do it. And I'm telling you, there are songwriting things where where you can make sure that it connects with the audience. Now, part of like Bob Dylan, that wasn't accidental stuff. He was in touch with what was going on, and he was, on it. Like if people are feeling a certain way and somebody's not saying it, like with Obama right now, there's songs right now that could be easily a hit concerning Obama because people are feeling a certain way, but nobody's saying it. So you can actually have songs that are not the greatest that actually resonate with people and take off because you're addressing this stuff. If people would address it.
So let's clear up a little bit of semantics here then. So what do you mean by they know what they're doing? What are they using? What information do they have?
Let's take a speech writer. I could sit down and write a speech that would make a woman cry. No ifs, ands, or buts. I could touch the heart. They do it in movies. People get up on podiums and speak, and they do it. And then when we go to do songs, we don't do it. And we have all these tools. We have chords that we could play that can manipulate people's emotions. And then when we go to do these songs, the chords are fighting what the verses are saying. It's then starts setting up and leading, and so we end up not doing it. Hey, baby.
Sorry.
But and so when a lot of these guys are writing, they get caught up into the moment saying something true from the heart, and that truth speaks. And then you've got other people, they might be able to, they'll honestly say, look, I don't know, I was just writing. And then you've got people who also do that, but who also understand that, hey, when I talk about this baby being in a casket and what it makes a person feel, and I go and read these 20 diaries of mothers who've lost their babies, and then I sit down and write this song based off of what these mothers say and use key words, I can really affect people. And then I use lyrics and the music that goes with it to push those emotions. When somebody hears that, you damn right, you can make somebody feel something. Will it become a national or world hit? That depends on the world.
Well, it depends on marketing money, too. It also depends on marketing money.
Yeah, but now a lot of stuff they market and it never goes anywhere. Like Jessica Simpson, they put a lot of money behind her, and certain things didn't go anywhere because it wasn't resonating.
They lose a lot of money. They lose a lot of money. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but if you have something that resonates, like if the kids are feeling rebellious and their parents want them to be clean, and here comes the ratchet movement, hey, it works. And then after the ratchet movement, the classy movement,
It's been working for centuries.
But yeah, a lot of songwriters don't, but a lot of them do. These guys are making good money purposely doing certain things, and I'll be damned if they're going to tell you.
Do they use music theory, or do they just?
Yeah, but no, music theory is to achieve a goal. Like there's a whole bunch of people who don't know music theory, but they know feel.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what it is. Like, how do you? It's what you've been talking about. And if songwriters would write based on like what you're talking about, feel. When I say this, people feel this. You know, there's a song we did, Girls Night Out. Right from the jump, I already knew, okay, this is a girls' anthem that girls will be able. I can picture it. Ladies are going to be able to, all the way from girls to old women, like grandmothers and everything, will be able. It's Ladies' Night Out. It's Girls' Night Out is the name of this song, and it's a bit rebellious, and there's no cursing, and a grandmother can listen to it with a granddaughter. There's 5 female singers on it, each one spinning a verse, one after the other, singing, and there's one rapper, and he's a Christian rapper. So he's not saying hoes and all that type of stuff. And he's actually speaking to one of the women as his wife going on. He's like, hey, all right now. But when you come back home, you know you're coming home to your husband. So act right, you know, that type of thing. And the drama of that's set up, it works. But there's things you can do. Remember the show 24.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that they wrote that show 24 without understanding how humans work?
No.
Exactly.
When you said that,
what goes in songwriting.
No, when you said that, my mind went to music theory and all that kind of stuff. That's not what you're talking about. So I agree with you.
No, I'm not talking music theory. Yeah. Music theory is just a tool. Yeah. Should be just a tool to make you help you accomplish your goal. And like somebody will say, what's the major chord is happy. Happiness is going up in pitch. Sadness is going down.
No.
So it's not just, oh, major chord is happy. Nah, wherever you're at, going down is a sadness. Going up is a happiness. That type of thing. And like when they sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and he says way up high, if you go back and listen, as he's singing it, they're going up and up and up, and way up high, it's real light and airy, like up high. Or like the Flight of the Bumblebee, there's like that music, there's actually music like bumblebees going around, like that stuff is on purpose, but it's not, you know, oh, I hit a perfect, you know, whatever, and nah, it's not that. It's not music theory like that. The theory is simply used to accomplish a goal. What is your goal, and then you use a theory. If you know theory, then you use theory to accomplish that. The theory is a slave to the goal. That's the win. The theory is a slave to the emotion.
Yep.
But no, yeah, Brad's right. Some people don't, but a lot of people are lying when they say they don't know. You sit down and have conversations with them, you start finding out that they actually, some of these people, or a lot of these people actually know some stuff. They're actually skilled at what they do, and it takes a bit to sit there and explain it to you, and then once they explain it, did you do anything with it? Did they just waste their time? And then really, should they really be explaining it, and then you come and kick their butt at doing it and take away some of their money? But there are great books out there that talk about this stuff from a non-nerdy perspective to where you actually can start getting it.
Cool. Yeah,
I challenge anybody out there to prove me wrong. We can get into it anywhere. I'll prove it.
There was some fellow who's done a video on the Beatles and their arrangements mostly, and you know, it's all very interesting, but when all was said and done, he said this is just the way these kids heard it at the time.
They did some very complicated stuff sometimes, and when they did the complicated stuff, it was all based on simple emotional stuff.
Yep.
It was a simple thing. It's like emotion. And understanding that humans need change. Without that, you need repetition for familiarity, and then change. And you go back and forth, and you mess with people. You play with people.
But yet everybody knows that now, but nobody can duplicate the Beatles.
It's coming. And you know what? Now, that was a different time frame where now there's so much exposure or whatever. But like even with Michael Jackson, like how that whole Michael Jackson thing happened, I can't wait. Like when I say it's coming, what it really is like things keep changing, and we're not able to see what the future holds. And so in the future, as time goes on, something's going to change, and there's going to be something that is this phenomena, and it's not. It may not be something that somebody plans, but it'll go.
Right.
The Beatles in that era and what they were doing, there's a whole lot of stuff that came with that, like the whole black music, black radio stations, and there's a whole thing that goes with that. Like with Bob, who was it? Pat Boone, duplicating every song that. Who was it? He was copying. This is so disrespectful, me not remembering. But one of the singers, the black singer, would sing, and then Pat Boone would put that same hit out the next week or whatever, that same song, and it would take off. So Pat Boone didn't even have to write the songs. There's all kinds of stuff that was going on with the Beatles, and then they developed. They developed and developed and developed until, like, they were that awesome, and they had the machine behind them. They had a mentor, George Michael. What was their mentor's name? George.
Oh man, the first word that's coming to me is Harrison, but no, it's George.
This memory stuff is killing me.
He just died recently.
Yes, they had a mentor.
Sorry to cut you, but how do you get a mentor? I want a mentor.
Well, he was hired.
How do you get a mentor?
They were already famous before George joined. George Martin.
George Martin.
Yeah, they were already well on their way before he joined.
Well, when I remember when he first got with them, there was such a problem. Wait, how do I say this? When he first got with them, he wasn't a famous dude like that. He was for acting or radio or.
He was orchestral. I thought he was an orchestral.
Orchestral. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't like he wasn't their thing. Like they put him on them, and that thing had to grow. That was a relationship that grew, and he happened to have great understanding, and they grew over time. He had to really work that situation. What do you mean? How do you get a mentor? You've already started on that path.
Oh, my bad.
I
wish you lived out here because there's much more stuff.
I live in the wrong country.
We're all mentors right now.
I know, but I mean, like, one that, like, in my presence, like, all the time.
You got to. Okay, actually, there's a lot of.
Like,
Ebenezer, there's a lot of discussion about this with the A&R people and stuff because they become mentors. And basically what a mentor is looking for is to see that you've paid your dues. To see that you have created something that people like and people respond to, and they will find you.
Okie dokie.
That's exactly the path I was about to go down. You could go chasing people, or you could do something to where you become so great.
No, I'm doing my thing to try and become great, but it's actually funny. One guy told me the other day that I'm singing in the wrong club, and that why am I not signed? So I know that I now have to go to the bigger platform. So I'm planning to go to what's it called? There's a place in Camden Lock. I found somebody that said I can play there. They're all live, so I'm working with a guy to do. He's playing the guitar, and I'm going to start singing the songs with him. Because obviously I can't do a full band as yet because I haven't got paid gigs. So
if you improve and improve and improve to where when you sing, everybody stops eating and the crowd starts requesting you, and then you get to a bigger venue and things like that are going on, people will recognize and want to be a part of it. You have to become a part of something. You have to become something that people like. If I look at you and be like, "Damn, I could make $1 million off of her," you realize. You think, man, come on. You ain't got to beg me. I'm begging you. I have watched elite chasing broke artists. I've seen this with my own eyes. I almost videotaped it one time. I was like, wow, they really do go after you. Because you are money. Certain things are money. And when you make yourself that, they come.
Yeah.
Now, you can't.
Format Ronnie Scott also.
You can pay them like you paid me, but you have to be careful and make sure that your money is wisely spent. Because there's a lot of especially here in LA, there's thousands of people who tell you they know the secret to everything.
No, I've met some of people that have told me that they know the secret to everything and don't know nothing at all. So I get it.
They're just trying to get in your pocket. And the internet is like one of the worst places in the world to find people. And you can find so many people on the internet who say they know what they're doing. They've got no proof whatsoever that they have any kind of a track record or anything like that. And some of them will just outright lie about their backgrounds. So you have to be very careful. That's why I like these records, because they make it so I'm honest. Those RIAA stickers on there prove that I know what I'm saying. But I could have just bought a bunch of platinum records without the RIAA sticker and stuck them up there and said, hey, I'm a multi-platinum guy. But see, I can only fool the stupid people with that.
Yeah.
Somebody like Mayat's going to go, what the hell are you talking about? There's no RIAA sticker on there. That's just you can't say, there's another 18 million records that I can't put on the wall because they're sold in other countries.
Really?
So I can't get the RIAA sticker. So it looked like I was just putting stuff up for the hell of it. So I don't.
Wow.
Hey, you guys, I've got to head out.
Me too.
So any last words?
No, it was nice chatting with you guys, and I appreciate Matt inviting me this time again for the hangout, and I look forward to many more.
Yeah, thanks for hanging
I
in.
learned a lot today.
Yeah, you'll be going to bed soon.
What'd you say?
Isn't it like how
It's
many
late
hours?
now, yeah.
Yeah, it's late now.
It's only 9:30 though, so I'm probably going to start writing.
Oh, okay.
And I'll probably look up the things that I've written down on this bit of paper to read and stuff and that kind of thing.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
Meow, I'll go send you that program. It is copywritten, so you don't have to worry about that, or I don't have to worry about that.
Okay, I won't release the book before you do. Okay.
It's not a book. It's not a book. It's interesting. I was actually surprised how it turned out. Because I was making it. I had an idea, and I said, okay, I'm going to make this. And as I was making it, I was going, geez. I thought I had a really good ear, but I missed a lot of stuff. Really.
Wow.
And for someone like you, it's going to be really easy to figure out what I'm doing, and you can use better software than I'm using on the program. The software I use on the program is free, so the beginners can just get it for free, and it's really easy. And but you'll probably take the concept.
We'll see how well I do.
Huh?
I might be over here struggling real hard for a while. We'll see.
Well, I'm just anyway. I won't tell you what it is, but you'll understand.
Okay. All right.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yes, and thank you. Love to you all. Appreciate you.
Invite more people. We could always have a bigger group.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. All right. The next one, I'm going to promote at least a week in advance, and we'll get a bunch of people in if you want a bunch of people.
Yeah, because I like what they say. I like to learn from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get a bunch of people in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care, you guys.
All righty.
Thank you, Brad.
Bye.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Monet.
Bye-bye, guys. Hope to hear from you, Monet.
Yes, I will be contacting you soon because it's been a lot going on with this whole USO situation, and it can take a lot longer than what I thought it would take. So, but as soon as I hear back from them, I will definitely be in touch with you because they're really excited about it. It's just them going over the paperwork with the lawyers and blah blah. So, I'm just kind of in the whole waiting game right now, and I'm just like anxious.
It's a big process. I get it.
Yes, but definitely soon, Brad. I will be coming your way, regardless, before that even happens. So.
Okay.
I'll be out that way soon here, probably September.
Okay, wonderful. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye.